utterly despicable, a disgusting betrayal of a country that has bled and fought and died for freedom. Our president has so disregarded the truth, and their fight is our fight, and the president's surrender is pathetic and weak.
Wow. Thank you, Senator Richard Blumenthal.
Yes.
I think Dr. Redlener would like to echo that.
I think so.
All right. We have Dana Goldberg. We have Carl Frisch. And can I just say, I'm sorry, do we have 999? Because we have to speak fascist now. So everything Trump said about Zelensky, no.
N-E-I-N.
Pardon me. Oh, I have to turn my light on.
Oh, uh-oh.
There we go. Oh, now look at me.
Now you're pretty.
Who's the pretty girl in the window there? Yes, no, everything Trump said.
9999999.
Yeah, for those of you that speak fascist, everything he said is a lie. Everything he says is a lie.
Everything.
First of all, millions of people have not died in Ukraine. Just for if you care about any kind of facts. Thank you. Jim started by saying President Zelensky does not have a 4% approval rating. And there was a poll out yesterday, 60%. Mm-hmm. He's anywhere from 53, 57, 60%, way higher than Trump. Okay, sorry, where was I? Ukraine did not start the war with Russia. They were invaded. The United States has not given twice what the EU has given to Ukraine. They've actually given half what the EU has given to Ukraine. Hashtag facts matter. Thank you, Jim, whoever you are. Nicole Wallace did that whole breakdown, too. Everything he said, right? He's caused the... First of all, Zelensky's a dictator that started the war? Oh, my God.
Even Republicans yesterday were like...
9.
9.
9. Oh, yeah, give me 14. This is John Thune, but this is how, mealy-mouthed they are.
Right. The reporter's a little bit hard to hear, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you call Ukrainian President Zelensky a dictator, as President Trump has?
Well, I like I said, the president speaks for himself. What I want to see is a peaceful result, a peaceful outcome. And I think right now there's a negotiation going on, and let's see where that ultimately leads. Hopefully it'll get to the outcome we all want to see.
Could you sound any more spineless and cowardly, right? He's a dictator that started the war in Ukraine. Oh, my God. Okay. Yes. Oh, here it is. I'm just looking at the latest one. This would be he presently posts an approval rating of close to 60%. That's the most recent one.
Yeah.
I saw one yesterday that said 53%, then 57%. That's different than 4%. By the way, he's not good with numbers. Did you? We can't. I can't subject you to his voice because even I can't. I can't. But did you see his whole... Okay, first of all, he tripled down on dead people getting Social Security. Oh, my God, once again, 999.
9999999.
Does anyone know anyone who's died? I think a bunch of people do. If anyone that's dealt with the death of a relative, my mom passed a couple years ago, they don't get Social Security. Like that, it's so insane that he keeps doubling down on these same lies, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, wait, I have to find the. Okay,
you know what? Help? You have a lot of stuff.
I called an audible for myself, and now I'm not prepared for the thing I just set up.
Do you need some help?
No, I'm fine. No, it's so insane. It's so like Rain Man mixed with whatever. Like he's just spitting out all these numbers, and they're just gobbledygook. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Right.
Okay, so that was just starting with the Ukraine Zelensky lies. Let's, okay. Oh, how about this one? Can I just say, speaking of numbers, Senator Tammy Baldwin yesterday.
Last night, the president said, I'm not touching Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, whatever, VA. I'm not touching them. By this morning, he endorsed the House budget resolution, which paves the way for massive cuts to Medicaid. And people have got to be aware.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Why? Would anyone believe anything? Thank you. Why are we all Nancy Kerrigan at this point? Why? He keeps kneecapping us. Why would you believe anything he says? Not going to touch it. In fact, he sounded particularly rapey about it. Going to cherish it. Love it. Kiss it. Hug it. Medicate. Love it. Love it.
Motorboat it.
He did say, I'm going to cherish it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think I'm going to buy it.
Okay. That aside, why would you believe anything he says? He just turned around the next day. Okay. Oh, here it is. Here we go. Hang on. I can't subject you to his actual voice because it makes me want to pour hot coffee in my hooch.
Okay.
For 3 hours, and that would be, Scaldy. We'd be Scaldy down there, so that's why we don't play his voice anymore.
No.
Okay, Trump basically came. People born during the Civil War and even before had been receiving Social Security checks. Elon Musk claimed that he's Doge. Found that more than 20 million Americans over the age of 100 have been receiving checks. He shared a screenshot of a spreadsheet he said was from SS. Okay, can you understand this is all bull? It's all bull. You can make up anything and hold it up to the camera. He is not proving any of this. Yes, Chris.
Point of order.
Yes.
Social Security did not exist in the Civil War.
Right. That's not important. Now.
Okay. Just wanted to, point of order that.
As several publications have pointed out, that some of these claims appear to originate from a quirk in SSA's databases. They used an old programming language, as we said yesterday, called COBOL. That they anyway. 999 is my point. Those are the numbers, as Herman Cain would say. Okay.
That's also Trump's Social Security number. 999999999.
Apparently, Biden was too old to be president, is my point. But let me read the transcript of what came out of his mouth. Is this not Rain Man meets, I don't know, old mush brain? I don't even. He said, yes. So. Okay, so none of this, but he was doubling and tripling down on what Elon Musk says. So Elon Musk lies, and then Trump takes that lie, and then he goes, no, 100 million for condoms in Hamas.
No.
And the number's 0.
It's like the opposite of that. But,
right, okay.
But go on.
Okay, are you ready? This came out of the sitting president's why does not one reporter go, what the are you talking about, Grandpa?
Because that reporter would get kicked out of the press room forever.
Listen to this. 3.6 million people are on Social Security rose from the age of 110 years old to 119. Do you think there's really that many? These people are seriously old, but it gets worse. 3.47 million people on Social Security from the age of 120 years to 129 years old. 3.9 million people are on Social Security from 130 years old to 139 years old. There are 3.5 million people from ages 140 to 149 years old on Social Security, and 1.3 million people are on Social Security from age 150 to 159. And over 130,000 people are on Social Security over the age of 160 years old, okay? Okay? Including 1,039 people. Think of it. Over 1,000 people with the ages of 220 and 229. And one person of 240 years old and was in 249. And the record topper, wait, I'm not done yet.
I can't think of a person who needs a teleprompter more than this guy.
And it's one person on Social Security who's 360 years old, which is approximately 110 years old.
Oh my God, shut up!
I think he's just counting everyone are just killing ourselves so that no one will be on Social Security because we have to listen to him talk for one more minute.
We're like that old lady in Airplane that hangs herself because she doesn't want to hear that story anymore.
Yes, we're like the old lady on Airplane next to Robert Hayes. We're all just like, stop talking. I will kill myself and get off Social Security.
The guy pouring gasoline over himself.
Oh, no. The samurai swords are back. Where's the little kid stammering that you do? What's that called?
It's in that computer kid, a stammering kid.
Stammering kid. Did you... People just sat there listening to that whole thing. Rain Man, meets 5-year-old that just got caught stealing a bunch of cookies or something. Right. Okay.
You do.
Yeah.
You want.
That's
you.
It.
You could do so. You do. You could. You want him.
That's Trump.
Is there enough rope for us all? Off ourselves. We're not going to be able to wait Bella for the asteroid.
He's going to put a tariff on ropes. I don't know how.
Yes, he will.
You know what? People are quoting.
That was funny.
People are quoting Bella on Twitter more than me. It's starting to piss me off. Yesterday, when I talked about the asteroid hitting in 2032, she said, "Oh, good. That's when I changed my IUD." That was funny.
That was funny.
I can't believe her mom and her 14-year-old sister listened to this highly inappropriate show. Her mother sent her the Atomic Blonde outfit yesterday for her to dress as a honeypot to get one of the Doge bags to rat out Elon Musk on the election theft in 2024.
My Mar-a-Lago outfit.
And What story did your 14-year-old sister hear Stephanie tell?
She heard the nail story about why women
lesbians don't. Yeah.
Yes, and she texted me and said, "LOL, long nails and short nails. You have long nails."
14, Steph.
What's her name? What's her name?
Charlie.
Charlie?
Yeah.
Charlie, you don't need to know that yet. You don't know what mommy's talking about.
Uh-huh.
We're having adult talk now. Okay. It's all so ridiculous. I just can't. One last one.
Right-wing hypocrites!
Trump accuses federal workers of playing golf after he spent the last 3 weekdays at his golfing because of...
He did, yeah.
There's got to be maggots waking up. I mean, he demanded federal employees who've been working remotely show up in person amid a week in which he visited his golf course 3 times and went to a NASCAR race. He shared his message for workers from his golf course in Doral in Miami.
Because of course he did.
Because you can't work at home. They're not working. They're playing tennis. They're playing golf.
Oh my
This is just the first zero self-awareness administration, or they just don't care. It's a big
They don't
F
care.
you.
They don't care.
Oh, you know what I have for you?
Whoa,
This is
uh-oh.
quite a thick stack, isn't it?
What is that?
Oh, BuzzFeed. Oh,
that
Bella,
that
we have
thing
the
you made me
longest
print
version
yesterday.
of You Were Warned.
Oh, my
of
God.
F around and find out ever. BuzzFeed, Donald Trump supporters are waking up to the reality of their ballot choices. Sad clown. Okay, we will get to the largest edition of We Tried to Tell You You Were Warned.
No.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
All right, and we have Carl first, Dr. Doom and Dana Goldberg. 17.
You said the judicial, and that, I think, was the most troubling thing I heard Elon say from anything else he said, where he tweeted something like, oh, any one judge that can step in and stop the president, that's not a democracy. No, Elon, that is literally the foundation of our country. We have 3 co-equal branches of government that are supposed to check and balance each other. And yes, courts can come in and step and say that, no, the president is overstepping his bounds constitutionally. And so that comment really showed what they're thinking.
Is flexibility and how and when you get tasks done important to you? Is your workday a little unconventional? Do you think autonomy is underrated? How important is it to be able to do things on your own time rather than someone else's? Flexibility in your workday means you can decide when and where to invest your time, like focusing on the important parts of the business that only you can do. With Stamps.com, tedious tasks like sending certified mail, invoices, documents, or packages can be done on your time, not someone else's. Stamps.com simplifies your postage needs, adds valuable flexibility back into your workday. I love it. We use it here at the Stephanie Miller Show. Flexibility is your all-in-one mailing and shipping solution. Take care of mailing and shipping wherever you are, even on the go with Stamps.com mobile app. All you need is a computer and a printer. They even send you a free scale. Easily schedule package pickups through your Stamps.com dashboard. Automatically see your cheapest and fastest shipping options from different carriers. And here it is. Do you want more flexibility in your life with Stamps.com? Yes, you do. Sign up at Stamps.com. Use the code Stephanie for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a free digital scale. No commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com. The code is Stephanie.
Now more than ever, people need to work with companies that share their values. Credo Mobile has donated nearly $100 million to help progressive organizations fight for reproductive rights, social justice, the environment, and equality. Credo Mobile offers a world-class mobile network and gives people a real choice when it comes to working with companies they know are making a positive difference in the world. Visit credomobile.com today and make the call to action.
Oh, hey there, it's Stephanie Miller. If you're like me and you love sharp political insight, pointy, you like it pointy and sharp, bold opinions, and a touch of humor to make sense of these crazy times, have I got some fantastic news for you. The Political Voices Network is now on Substack. This is your new go-to for the best in independent media. We're talking about my show streaming daily with episodes on demand, the fearless of journalism of Brian Karem, the brilliant side-splitting satire of John Fugelsang, the unrelenting working-class advocacy
advocacy of Rick Smith, and so much more. Here's the best part. Subscribing is so easy. You can join for free or go to the extra mile. Support these incredible independent voices by signing up for a full subscription starting at just $8. You'll get access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and a chance to directly fuel fearless, unfiltered media. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Hit that subscribe button and become part of the movement keeping truth alive in an era of corporate media overload. Every subscription helps, especially yours. One more time, that is politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Sign up now. Do it.
much into tomorrow. This is a lot so far. We're only a month in.
Only a month.
Emily from Duluth, Minnesota, categorizes her vote for Trump as the biggest mistake of my life. She's horrified by Trump's focus on deportations and the use of Guantanamo Bay to hold migrants. Donald Trump tweeted, I'll be signing an executive order next week ending the ridiculous Biden push for paper straws, which don't work. Back to plastic. Someone tweeted him, sir, what about lowering the prices for groceries? You said you were going to lower the prices for groceries, and that's why I voted for you. I didn't vote to change straws or take over countries. Lower the prices of groceries. Do your job. Page 11 billion.
Page 2.
Here at the grocery store talking to the cashier, and apparently some older white lady came in crying her eyes out at the whole tariffs thing and how she didn't understand what she voted for. Save your tears. We literally warned everyone. What we were told is that we were overreacting. Okay. Oh, please. More violin. I am so sorry I voted for Trump. He is letting Elon Musk take over the government, and it's not looking pretty. He's taking away cancer research funds, and now my family with cancer might not get the help they deserve. I thought Trump was going to make America great again. Just another person lying to us.
Yep.
Okay, that lady, I could probably be a little nicer, too.
Oh, you're not going to be on the welcome wagon for her.
I'll worm my way to the front to be nice to her. Why did Trump revoke Executive Order 14087, Biden's order that reduced prescription prices? I'm extremely happy Trump won. I've loved a lot of the orders he put in place, but this one has confused me. I haven't seen anyone other than the left mention this. Seems like a corporate greedy thing to do. Is there more context I'm missing as to why he undid this?
Nope.
No. Just the context that, just that context.
Just the idiot context, yeah.
I got go more. Bled over into the next segment. I got a couple. Okay. Wow. See, that's going to go on for 4 years. Well. And Carl Frisch next.
So the U.S. media is talking a lot about secession these days. That's this fall's clickbait. A recent poll from the University of Virginia Center for Politics showed that 52% of Trump voters at least somewhat believe that the red states should secede from the United States. I'm still waiting for certain Trump supporters to secede from the Confederate States. But don't worry, though. No one's actually going to secede from their Social Security or their Medicare or their Medicaid or their pension or even their Obamacare. I know it's shocking, but some Trump supporters haven't actually thought certain shit all the way through. Also, keep this in mind. Donald Trump had 74 million votes. Half of that is roughly 12% of the overall population and dwindling. Because the GOP and their media keep telling conservative people not to trust medical safety precautions during a plague. It's almost like they realize they don't need these voters to win elections in certain states anymore. But then a recent YouGov Brightline Watch poll said that 2/3 of Southern Republicans would back secession. Allow me to offer a solution. Right-wing extremists, we're going to offer you your own sovereign territory. Here's how it works. Y'all get a big chunk of Texas, okay? Or you can get chunks of 2 different states. I don't know, you want 2 full states? I love Alabama and Mississippi, but you guys can take those states and we will just bring in DC and Puerto Rico and keep 50 stars on our flag. The free, independent, trickle-down republic of Whitopia. Then all the racists and white supremacists, all the fascists, all the oligarchs, all the Proud Boys and 3%ers and Oath Keepers, rich guys escaping taxation. Middle-class white folks escaping somewhat browner neighborhoods. Industrial polluters escaping anti-pollution laws. All the white women who are dead inside. All kinds of ignorant, mean Americans escaping critical thinking, pandemic safety guidelines, proper English grammar, and portion control. All the men who still can't spell "your" properly. Welcome home. No taxation, no regulation, just like Somalia, but mostly Caucasian. Fly your Confederate flag. Ban abortion. Ban gay marriage. Ban being gay. Close borders. Open carry. All the guns you want. All the drugs you want. All the junk food you want. And no vaccines. Except for the rich people of Whitopia, who will then tell the working people of Whitopia, you don't need those vaccines. You know, like it is here, now. And Supreme Ruler Trump gets to go full Scarface meets Caligula. Military parades in his honor, his face on gigantic billboards, stadium rallies. He can execute drug dealers on camera. He can marry his own daughter on camera. It's going to be like a Werner Herzog movie. Trump and his two sons, Fredo and Shemp, they can show up wearing full military uniform if they want. And best of all, he can sell his supporters even more merch. And all the liberals and progressives and moderates and sane Republicans will stay here, and we will work together, and we will fight, and we will compromise to try to help the majority of Americans. But we only have one condition. Before you secede, we get to install cameras everywhere. At the 3-month mark, we turn the cameras on, and the rest of the world gets to watch it streaming for $100 a month on pay-per-view, just to see how well your economic theories really play out with no interference from us. At the 6-month mark, when Whitopia has become a third world shithole hellscape with no regulations, ruled by a dictator thug who dresses like the captain of the Love Boat, then we'll send over a tiny piece of those pay-per-view profits as foreign aid. At the 1-year mark, we're going to have a lot of desperate Whitopian caravans of refugees at our southern border begging for amnesty. Boo-boo, I don't think so. Mexico's that way. Go make your case to them. America's full. And we have to build a wall. Now, of course, none of this will ever happen. Every red state has blue cities. Every blue state has red counties. We are interconnected as a people. We will rise or fall together. America is where you're stuck with people even if you can't stand them. You know what that means? We're like family. It's true, there are two Americas, but I view us as being more like a pair of conjoined twins who share a heart. We don't see eye to eye, we're not the same, but we can't be separated because we share the same heart. That's America. Although, in reality, in this scenario, only one of the twins has a brain, and the twin that doesn't have a brain won't stop just beating the crap out of the one that does have a brain. The one that has a brain just has to sit there, I guess, and fucking take it, because that's civility, right? When the brainless twin goes low, we gotta go high, so we just keep getting pummeled and pummeled in the face by our brainless twin because we share the same heart. And that's America. And they asked me to end this on a positive note. This is cold.
Okay, sorry, let me just finish up because this bled over into this segment. This would be the, we tried to tell you, you were warned. These are all the Trump voters that had, the after on, and they're in the find out phase.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even a month in. No. This one has the bad spelling that I'm used to in my hate letters.
Okay.
The guy, bulimic ditch licker. Oh, that's Thom, by the way, that calls me the bulimic ditch licker. I'm sorry for 14-year-old sisters listening. We'll just tell her, we'll make up something what that means. WTH. I think she meant F.
What the hell?
Happened to my IAL security spousal benefits, survivors benefits on February 3rd being cut by $600. Went from $1,900 a month to $1,300. I almost dropped dead. Nothing has changed. 68 years old, raising 14-year-old grandson, no food stamps. Florida said I made too much. Nothing, just my Social Security. How the heck do I pay my bills and feed my grandson? I thought Social Security wasn't supposed to be cut. I voted for Trump. Guess I was an idiot. I'm not saying anything, Chris. I'm not saying. You know what? That's the best gift I can give sometimes. I don't speak.
Just welcome them with open arms.
Welcome to you and your superior judgment. My neighbor who just lost his government job took down his Trump 2024 Make Liberals Cry Again sign off his garage. I had a good chuckle. Okay, and one last one. Donald Trump, this is crazy. Americans can't pay rent or buy food even with jobs, and now Trump takes away funding for help centers like Holy Family Institute, Salvation Army, United Way, etc. So Americans don't even have places to go now for help. I voted for you, but damn. Okay, all right. Okay, well, we tried to tell you. You were warned, right? I'm just saying, we tried to tell you.
We tried to tell you, you were
I'm going to be taking a nap for a minute.
No, you need to talk to Carl Fritsch.
After my nap. I want a cookie now.
A graham cracker?
Yes. Okay, now Carl's here. I'm back. Carl. Carl Fritsch. Let's talk to our fancy Fairfax County School Board friend, shall we? carlfrisch.com. Hi, carlfrisch.com. How are you?
I'm swell. How are you? When you prefer the nightmares of nap time to reality.
Yes. But we were just talking about like Jesse Waters on Fox last night, whining about somebody he knows personally that, asking Trump to undo XYZ. He had, what's his name? Which celebrity?
Zachary Levi.
I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
He's whining about people he knows that are affected now. And it's like a lot of these Republicans, right, when they're trying to get exceptions. They're like, oh, but you weren't supposed to hurt us. Can you just hurt the people we hate, please? I mean, that's what's so infuriating about this, Carl.
Well, I mean, billionaire is going to billionaire.
Yeah.
This is how you get the money cobbled together slowly to pay for the money that they're going to hand over to the billionaires.
Yeah.
And the rest is debt, and the rest is deficit spending, and so I think people are waking up to a reality that they don't like, and it's going to have repercussions for sure. Polling's beginning to indicate just how unpopular these changes are.
Yeah, well, that's what's so infuriating is none of this is popular, including Musk. They just did polling on how unpopular Musk and Zuckerberg are, who helped install him and are sitting there in the front row of the inauguration. And none of this is popular, right? I mean, we just played Tammy Baldwin. Last night, the president said, I'm not touching Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, VA. I'm not touching them. By morning, he endorsed the House resolution, which paves the way for massive cuts to Medicaid. Well, they keep trying to figure out, like, oh, how can we only, hurt the blue states and not the red states? But they're not going to be able to do that, are they? All these people that didn't think they meant them are going to be hurt.
I mean, look, even in Alaska, you've got their Republican congressman having a town hall the other day where, a large percentage of workers in Alaska are federal employees. And they're going to him saying, why aren't you stopping this? And he says he can do nothing about it. Right. Or that he didn't know it was going to come, or that he didn't know it was happening. And so...
Right, Don Bacon was like, oh, not my farmers. Can't you do something? It's like... No, y'all voted for and or enabled this.
You campaigned for this.
Yeah.
And by the way, none of this had to happen because it's only about 6% of the budget.
Yeah.
None of this had to happen.
Carl, somebody said it, I think, on TV the other day, but it's really true. It's like the difference is like we believed him. Everything he said, they didn't. Still, after all these years, they're like, oh, he's just talking. That's just Trump. He's not going to do that. Right. And we're like,
people hear what they want to hear.
Yeah.
I think reality is catching up with people, and they don't like what they see. And so join us. Like you've got elections coming up. A lot of people have special elections coming up. Get ready. We got a year and a half, and we've got the midterm elections. And only a Democratic Congress can bring accountability to the administration.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, Carl, a lot more people, given everything that's happened with, the Doge bags and Musk since then, have concerns about the 2024 election and therefore the midterms, I mean, Malcolm Nance yesterday said, I guess you can't rule it out. That I don't know. Well, we can only send Bella in to flip one of the Doge boys. That Bella's our personal honeypot. That's the only way. But but at the same time, Carl, I want to be careful. I said this yesterday. I want to be careful because that's part of it is depressing our turnout, is making people feel like, oh, it's all rigged and your vote's not going to matter. So just stay home. So it's such a fine line. It's such a balance. But, the fact is there were 67 bomb threats connected to Russia in Democratic polling places. Obviously, there's speculation about USB drives and whatever Musk might have done, and Trump coming right out and saying, oh, he knows those vote counting machines. And, and again, don't know whether he's admitting to another crime in public or he's just owning the libs, right?
Look, the only way that we're going to turn the clock back here is in the courts and at the ballot box. So people can't be discouraged. That's exactly what people want, is for people to turn out and vote.
Right.
Thus far, we're not seeing that's the case. Look at the special elections that have happened in this country since last November.
Yeah.
And Democrats have performed very, very well. So that is at least heartening.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, but here we are with the media again. I loved a couple of these tweets, Carl. EM said, why TF don't American journalists fact check him to his face in real time? That's your job. Start doing it. I mean, the most agree. Just Ukraine. We just went through those lies. The Social Security lie. The most outrageous lies. Don Winslow, our friend, said it's stunning to me every newscast is not starting their shows with the Trump administration has fired individuals involved in the care and security of our nuclear weapons, aviation security, bird flu, and infectious disease response. This is all in less than a month. There was another plane crash yesterday in Arizona. This is not normal, Carl. I mean, that's the thing. In the fact, like, how long can they blame an administration that had 0 crashes on their watch to one that's had 8 in less than a month?
How long can they do it? As long as we will allow them to do it. I have a feeling there will be a special exhibit in the Trump Presidential Library where they do this. And so, the only way that we're going to stop it, again, is by putting people in Congress who will stand up and use their authority in Congress to hold the administration accountable.
Yeah.
But that requires, in part, on us having the majority. So, I think we need to continue to surface the things that are happening. We need to continue to point them out.
And, I will say, we were talking yesterday, I guess Jen Psaki made some comments, and you were a former Democratic strategist, obviously, Carl, but she just was talking about talking the way normal people talk, that people don't usually use the words oligarchy or authoritarianism, even though it's true and it's a danger and it's happening. But all those people I just played, that's all people talking about how their personal lives were affected by, and I think that is the stuff we have to talk about. I mean, Tristan Snell is good at this. He said Biden capped insulin at $35 a month. Republicans are now undoing it. Biden capped an inhaler at $35 a month. Republicans are now undoing it. Biden stopped banks from hurting you with overdraft fees. Republicans are now undoing it. Trump, Musk, and the GOP are raising your costs. I mean, that's something people feel, right?
Period. And those are the voters that could go either way. They need to hear about those real life examples. I mean, this is what we were talking about at the end of the last election, was how people needed to hear about how these plans were shaping up for average everyday Americans, what Kamala Harris was proposing versus what Donald Trump was proposing. And it had traction with people. I just don't think it had long enough of a runway. And so every day that this administration is not focused on the cost of living, which, by the way, is every day, we need to be pointing that out. And every time they take actions that make it harder for everyday Americans to afford their way of life, which is basically every day,
right?
We need to be pointing that out.
I mean, because we keep talking about how do we break through this disinformation bubble that is just getting worse, if anything, since the election. These lies about waste and fraud, and dead people getting Social Security. I mean, I said it from my experience, but I thought this was a Book and Beer review, said anyone who has dealt with the estate of a deceased parent is laughing at the accusation that Social Security is paying years after someone's death. I've never seen a government agency work so quickly in my life to stop those benefits. I mean, that's something I would think most people, you prove to me, show me one person. You have a deceased relative. Show me one. Do they keep getting checks? I mean, that's how you fact check this, I guess.
They go to the funeral home, they have to fill out paperwork.
Thank you.
And it's over.
The other thing I would note, my mom was on obviously Social Security and Medicare when she died at 100 years old. Like it stops on a dime. That's how it works. They notify the funeral home. I mean, it's anyway. Because I sometimes get at a loss for how you combat such obvious ridiculous lies that the MAGA base seems to still believe. Anything Trump says, right?
You're not we're never going to convince the MAGA base of anything, right? The only thing that really convinces people of the need for political change, if they're one position and are going to the exact opposite, is something personally cataclysmic. And so for some people, that's going to be losing the benefits they're getting from the government. Some people, it's going to be losing their government jobs, et cetera. But most MAGA people are not going to change their mind, and they don't make up a majority of the country. So we need to continue to focus on communicating our message to people who can be persuaded, which is a small portion of the middle, but also all the people that didn't turn out and vote in 2024 who had turned out previously.
Yeah.
To let them know that we are on their side and that this is not normal, that we can right this ship, and that we need their help to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's why what you do, as head of a board of education is so important. This last one I saved for you. Sabrina said, every damn thing that's happening right now is fully predictable to anyone with any understanding of history. And yet many Americans are still stumbling around shocked and surprised. We told you, we warned you, history has all the spoilers. I mean, it's just what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. It's like, has anyone read a book about World War II that currently voted for Trump?
Well, and I think we have limited. I think there's limited value in the "we told you." I mean, it doesn't not feel.
Oh,
good.
it's fun though, and it's soul cleansing.
It doesn't not feel good. How's that for a double negative?
Never underestimate the power of. Yeah.
But
sorry, go ahead.
I think there's more value politically pointing out the truth to people who are willing to hear.
Yeah. Well, here's what I have to say to that. I'm kidding, Carl. This is why we have you. This is why we have serious, important people on the show like
That's
you
right.
to balance this. All right. We love you, Carl Frisch.
Thank you, Carl.
There he goes. 48 minutes after the hour, this portion of the show. Brought to you by Coke. We were also discussing our haters because we couldn't keep straight.
Oh, yeah.
Because you are a caulk sucker.
Caulk. Yes.
Right, as is Bob Seska, who, as I said to Bob, is a homo who happens to be banging the hottest blonde woman in America. But he seems nice. I am so ready to unite with those people to take our country back. This horse-faced lesbian is all in, Bob. This bulimic ditch
I just want to compile all those emails into like a series and keep them posterity.
I know. Wait. I know. I'm sure it's my self-esteem that I love my hate mail more than my love letters, but okay. They make me laugh. Bob, can I just say, oh my God, you so just touched my, what's like a G spot, but my a P spot, my P spot.
No, don't touch your P spot.
No, political. He's my soulmate. I say it here, it comes out there. He completes me. He had me at hello, whatever. You said, I've been saying this for, I don't know how, stating the obvious. One big reason Donald's maniacal action seems so psychotic is because he's reacting to pervasive MAGA smear myths. Invasion at the border, children being mutilated, vaccines are toxic, climate crisis is a hoax, government is the problem, etc. His agenda is a reaction to fantasy. And that's what I was just saying, Bob. It's just them going into, churches and tricking people and lying to immigrants and whatever. And the deportations, Joe Biden's last month, 21,000 unauthorized immigrants were deported. Trump, 14,000. So not as efficient, just bigger and meaner and dumber and louder, right? Oh, Bob's frozen already. Really? Look how handsome he is, Bella.
He is. Look at that.
He's really. Oh, there you're back. Okay,
got my back.
Gone again. Okay, try again, Bob. Sorry. Boy. This is not our internet, right? Our internet is okay?
That's fine.
All right. Bob, okay, now you're moving. Go ahead. Try again.
Yeah, our internet's fine.
All right. What? Okay, well.
He's operating on, and this...
That sounded like a good point.
I'm going to have to touch my own P spot if Bob can come back to me. Damn.
Let's hang up, Bob, and call back.
Yeah, let's try hanging up.
Can we hang up and call back?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
That's exactly what I've been saying is that, and I don't know, I'm sure Bob has thoughts, if we could hear him, about how we get around this. Because, and I kept saying that it would be different if they won on issues that people preferred their view, but that's not, they won on things that are not true.
Right.
That provably are not true, statistically or otherwise. And so that's what's just so infuriating is how do we now take this? I guess I can say that, but they're not hearing that on Fox News, that Joe Biden deported way more people than Donald Trump has, even in his first month, just month to month, a ton more people. Hi, Bob.
Hi. Is this working?
Yes.
Hello?
Working better.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, like Johnny Carson used to say, someone kicked a plug out. That must have been the problem somewhere.
Yeah.
With
Johnny
the
from
internet
Airplane.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. But I mean, talk about acting on fantasy. Donald Trump thinks Ukraine started the war in Ukraine.
Yes.
This is a brand new quote. I think he said it late yesterday, and it's in the news today. That Ukraine, not Russia, started this war. So, of course, he's operating with this attempt to craft some sort of peace deal, which means Ukraine gets screwed. I mean, that's ultimately what's going to happen here. But he's basing that on fantasy,
right?
Which is that Ukraine started the war and not Vladimir Putin trying to invade Ukraine, which the entire rest of the world understands and half of the people in the United States
This
understand.
is why I get annoyed at people just scolding Democrats. Because, first of all, this is the complete collapse of the Republican Party in this country and their complete cowardice that we got here. And the other thing I would say is then the 36% that didn't vote should have gotten off their ass, rather than going, oh, Democrats, why aren't you stopping this now?
Right.
I mean, or the 1% that swayed the election that voted for Jill Stein, I mean, it's.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that
but
last point.
Bob, it'd be different if, again, these postmortems, it beating up Democrats, if we had lost on issues, if people just don't agree with you on tariffs or tax rates or this or that. We lost, as you said, on all lies.
Oh, yeah.
Provable fictions.
Lies and social media propaganda. I mean, that was a significant part of it.
Stephanie Miller.
Karen in Chicago. Hello. Hi, Karen. Boo, boo, boo. Foo, foo, foo.
Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Steph, I'm old enough to remember when convicted felon 47 said, I've never met Project 2025. She seems nice, but she's not my type.
No, I would never grab her by the...
every single thing.
Don't know 2025. Don't know her.
Exactly. Never heard of her. Of course, but now we're seeing everything from Project 2025 being enacted. So we know everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie. And what Americans need to, and the media needs to stop doing is falling for the okie doke. Now Elon Musk is saying that they're going to send every American $5,000 from the money that they've saved.
I swear to God.
While cutting Social Security.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah. I saw that. I'm like, oh my God. And they think we're dumb enough again, right? The waste that he has not found. He's going to send you all. It's like, what's the sweepstakes things at McMahon? Meets timeshare salesman.
Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yes, right. Okay. Keith says.
Bella has no idea what that is.
It's okay. Donald Trump is openly calling himself a king. Any Republican who pretends they don't know where this is going is lying to you. He actually ended a tweet with "Long live the king."
Oh.
By the way, I've got to remember to turn the channel in my bathroom.
Yeah, don't do that.
Because I can't miss Nicole. That's when I'm taking my shower. Let me take you through my schedule. That's when I'm naked. I'm taking my shower. I'm getting ready, putting my jammies on.
So you get naked for Nicole Wallace?
Yes, I can't miss a moment of Nicole Wallace. She doesn't mind that I'm naked. But that's what sometimes it's on MSNBC in the morning. I hear Mika Brzezinski go, oh, he called himself a king. Oh, well, no, he's just kidding. So let's not get triggered. Oh my God. Really? Really? You think that any of this is normal, right? Okay. Yes, Rude Pundit said Trump's whole view on Ukraine is so rapey. Did I say that? I said that.
You did.
Everything he says is rapey.
Well.
It's essentially that Ukraine should have laid back and taken it, like Russia's the star and Ukraine is just a seat to be grabbed. Thank you, Rude Pundit. That was rude, but very accurate.
Well, it's in his name.
Josh says another plane just crashed in Arizona. At least one person dead. This comes a day after Trump fired 20,000 employees, including hundreds of FAA employees. Dear God. Debbie in Phoenix, speaking of Arizona. Hey, Deb. Hi, Deb.
Hey, I just speaking of that. First, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep, go ahead.
First, yeah, okay, cool. First, I just want to say I'm a first-time caller. I'm totally fangirling right now. I'm like totally excited to talk to you. But second, I want to about the plane crash in Arizona. That plane crash that happened at it's Mojave County Airport, I think it was. Mm-hmm. That airport is not monitored. It's a non-monitored airport, which means they do not have air traffic control.
Right. They don't have a tower.
So just to be clear, there is no air traffic control.
Okay.
Yeah. So the pilots monitor themselves by speaking with each other, and apparently these two planes did not see each other because of something to do with the wings. But anyway, it is tragic nonetheless.
Yeah.
The other thing, real quick, I'm on my way to work. But the other thing, real quick, I wanted to mention is what is President Elon and the Orange Cheeto going to say about unemployment numbers when they come out after they've fired all these people? And cut out all these
they'll blame Biden. Let me just,
people have lost their jobs.
They're going to blame Biden.
Spoiler alert: they're going to blame Biden. He already has, right? Inflation, everything. Christopher, who said, Mr. President, Ukraine did not start this war. Russia launched an unprovoked and brutal invasion, claiming hundreds of thousands of lives. The road to peace must be built on the truth. Who said that?
General Buck Turgidson.
No, that was Mike Pence. Oh. Is he still hanging around? They did there because they tried to hang him.
Yes.
So,
I hear he's hung.
Mother would be very, very disappointed in you for that sort of filth. All right. Oh, can I say one hooray?
What?
Heroes of Democracy. Joe Rogan has slipped into the second spot. Midas Touch has become the country's most downloaded and listened to podcast, to which we say hooray.
Hooray.
We are not a podcast, once again. We're a radio show. Okay, but we say yay to that, right?
Yep.
That is a victory. Please support our...
Did you know?
What?
Did you know you're a code breaker?
What's a code breaker?
That means twice a month you'll lock in with me, Miko Love, here for Generation Girl Code, a show committed to empowering women and honoring their experiences. This season, we're diving deeper, beyond the surface, beyond the stereotypes, into the heart of what it means to rise, lead, and break through. Together, we'll write our own code, because the womanly experience was never intended to cater to external validation, and well-behaved women rarely make history. It's time to change the conversation, and I'll be the one telling it. So I'll see you soon. FSTV is partnering with Means TV to bring you Means Morning News Bites. Host Sam Sachs delivers anti-capitalist news and analysis every Wednesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. and 4:40 p.m.
Hey, I'm Dave Zirin, and you are watching Free Speech TV.
Want to inspire fellow FSTV viewers and make a powerful difference? Frontline funders are the heart of our pledge drives and make match days possible. Without them, pledge drives could not provide the critical revenue we need to deliver the programming you love. Here's how it works. Every quarter, dedicated supporters like you step up with at least $1,000 to our pledge drive matching fund, increasing the impact of every donation. Frontline funders don't just support, they lead. At a time when independent news and nonprofits face existential threats, you can champion the mission of progressive news and ensure its future for generations to come. Your commitment sets the stage for collective action, proving that when we come together, we can achieve the extraordinary. Join the Frontline Funders today and let's make progress possible. Call 303-542-4819 or visit freespeech.org to learn more. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Miko Love with Free Speech TV, where independent voices unite.
Abortion bans are not pro-life. They're pro-poverty and pro-inequality. I'll tell you what we can do about it in a moment, but first let me explain how these bans worsen inequalities. You've probably heard of the 2 abortion cases making their way through the courts. But it's not just Texas and Mississippi's new bans. For years, Republican state lawmakers, almost entirely white men, have been chipping away at reproductive freedom, enacting laws that lead to clinic closures, force people to travel hundreds of miles for abortions, and create near insurmountable barriers for low-income people, especially people of color. Now, make no mistake, bans like those in Texas and Mississippi won't stop abortions. Wealthier people will always have access, but millions of low-income people will be forced to give birth. with dire consequences for both parent and child. Pregnant people in Texas now have to travel an average of 247 miles to get an abortion. Who but wealthier people can afford this? Only 1/3 of the lowest paid workers receive paid sick days, while 95% of the highest paid do. Taking just one unpaid day off from a low-wage job can mean sacrificing groceries, electricity, or gas. These restrictions worsen inequality and have lifelong effects. One study found that being forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy to term makes it nearly 4 times more likely that parent and child will live below the poverty line. Parents are also less likely to have full-time work and more likely to have public assistance 4 years later. Decades of research confirm that abortion access improves education, employment, and earnings. And the differences are especially large for Black people. It's not just economics. Restricting abortion puts people's health at risk. Researchers found that abortion legalization in the 1970s reduced deaths among Black mothers by 30 to 40%. The Supreme Court's right-wing majority is poised to gut or even overturn Roe v. Wade. If they do, 21 states already have laws that will go into effect to severely restrict or outright ban all abortions immediately, threatening the livelihoods and health of millions of low-income Americans. Congress must codify Roe v. Wade into federal law now by passing the Women's Health Protection Act. It's already been passed in the House, but it's being blocked in the Senate by, you guessed it, a Republican filibuster. Let's be clear, there is nothing pro-life about forced pregnancy and forced birth. The freedom to choose when, how, and with whom you start a family should not be dictated by your income or where you live. Congress must act to protect reproductive freedom now, before it's too late.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. This is unacceptable, and something Feeding America is working to solve. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States, including yours. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Most
starting this war, President Trump amazingly blamed Ukraine for Putin's invasion. To quote the president, "You should never have started it," he said.
Wow. Oi, Senator Schumer. Okay, someone that might have a few thoughts and feelings about this.
If I'm going to get bad news, I want it from him because he's very handsome. Dr. Irwin Redletter joins us now. MSNBC medical expert. Dr. Irwin Redletter.
Here he became Dr. Doom.
Dr. Irwin Redletter is the founding director of the National Center for Disaster Preparedness and senior research scholar.
Dr. Doom.
Hi, the very well-named Dr. Doom.
And by the way, I never thanked you for letting me sing the song in that little.
You're welcome.
Sing that little.
You are
a
remarkable vocalist, in addition to being such a good doctor.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I mean, I don't. It's. This is obviously we're used to him lying about everything, but this is just next level, isn't it? That Zelensky's a dictator who started the Ukraine war. I mean, as I've said from day one, Doc, this is not even a war. This is an unprovoked terrorist attack on a sovereign country.
Terrorist attack. It's an invasion by an aggressive totalitarian state of a thriving democracy who happens to be their neighbor. And I think any of this blaming, this is Orwellian, blaming Zelensky for quote unquote starting the war is so horrifically wrong in every way. I think really what's going on is Trump is just ferociously pissed off that he was criticized by Zelensky. Now Trump is using his power to punish Ukraine and Zelensky and all the families of that country. I'm horrified, really.
Do you have some nostalgia music? Doc, I don't know if you've ever heard the story about my, he turned out to be right-wing. My brother, when I was a child, he used to yell Butkus, which was, the Dick Butkus, the fearsome tackler for I don't remember which team. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so he would yell Butkus, and that was my cue to run for my life. And so then he would tackle me in the house. And one time he tackled me into my mom's, I'm going to say Ming vase. I don't know. It was something. It was a very, expensive vase that broke. And he looked at me and said, "Look what you did. Mom's going to kill you." So that's kind of analogous to the Ukraine story, right?
It's gaslighting.
Right.
And it's one thing if you gaslight somebody, an individual, it's just obnoxious. When you gaslight a country that's struggling for survival and then have the power to punish them, now we've stepped into territory that's absolutely barbaric. And listen, I'm very worried about this. And it's coupled with Trump's dismissive, aggressive, anti-European rhetoric as voiced by J.D. Vance and Musk and the whole team there. And I think we got some really world-changing realities that we're looking at right now with Trump's people. It's frightening.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously Zelensky is hit back yesterday. He just, because everything he said, Trump, that Zelensky has a 4% approval rating. He has a 60% approval rate. I mean, it just, every single thing he says is an absolute Kremlin talking point. That Zelensky's not legitimate, that, blah, blah, blah.
Nazis in the government. There's been a line of BS out of Putin now being mimicked by everyone in the Trump administration, as if our alliance is with Vladimir Putin, not even Europe, no less Ukraine. And it's
everything he said.
Clear what to do about it
in this, Truth Social or whatever, it is incorrect. He said he talked the United States into spending $350 billion. Not even close. No. He makes up numbers, right? Whether it's approval ratings. Zelensky admits that half the money went missing. Complete lie. I mean, he's very low in the Ukrainian polls. Another lie. I mean, and thank God all of the, heads of Europe who are having to have emergency meetings without the United States. Did you ever think you'd hear that? German chancellor said it's simply wrong and dangerous to deny President Zelensky's democratic legitimacy. Prime Minister England called Zelensky, told him he supports him as Ukraine's democratically elected leader, said it was perfectly reasonable to suspend elections during the wartime as UK did during World War II. Denmark's prime minister said she didn't understand the president's attack on Zelensky. Sweden's prime minister said he's democratically elected. Norwegian PM said Trump's comments about Zelensky being a dictator were deeply unreasonable. I mean, We were just saying it's extraordinary to go, we're going to be the bad guys in World War III. Like we are,
Unbelievable. While we see where our alliances are going, they're going down the tubes in Europe, our traditional allies since the end of World War II. And Canada is pissed off, and Mexico is going to be a problem for us. Who's left for us other than Putin's Russia and Belarus? I mean, it is a terrible moment in American history. And by the way, even if he totally changed everything right now, no one's ever going to trust him again on the international stage. He's unreasonable. He's lying constantly, and he's a disaster. You don't even know what he's going to do next. And I think that is beyond troubling for our absolutely best friends. And by the way, Donald Trump wishes he could have the approval ratings that Zelensky has.
Yeah.
He's got half the approval ratings in the United States that Zelensky has in Ukraine. And, he just doesn't stop lying no matter what and no matter to whom.
Well, you said on, I'm not sure where this is, but you said a lot of Americans who voted for Trump may already realize whatever it was they cared about, like inflation or energy prices or the border or America First, has dropped off the POTUS, Vance, Musk list, convergent priorities. Even the hardcore MAGAs who think the J6 insurrectionists were peaceful protesters who deserved the insane blanket pardon POTUS granted them, a lot of will find themselves deeply disappointed by the priorities and actions of the government, packed to the gills with incompetent sycophants. It's morning in America, you said, as President Reagan used to say, but this one is going to be one really, really crappy day. By sundown, none of the things you cared about will be fixed or addressed, and the democracy you thought you had will be long gone. And you said, and long gone too will be countries across the world who were once our closest friends and allies. And then you said reality's a bitch, dudes, which seems very kind of gangster for
Doc.
you, but very gangster. But Doc, even in your area of expertise, we have a measles outbreak. We have, they're doing not only are they not doing anything about bird flu, they're making it worse by firing those experts that were working on it. I mean, and Bobby Kennedy's in charge. I mean, it's hard to sort of. I feel like we're always underreacting to what could happen, right?
No, it's crazy. Bobby Kennedy Jr., now Secretary Kennedy, said that he wanted to stop infectious disease research for 8 years, quote unquote, take a pause. And now we're really looking right down the barrel of pandemics and other dangerous outbreaks, and the absolutely wrong time to even think about reducing research. I mean, we should be increasing research to figure out how to detect outbreaks and prevent them and treat them. We're going in completely the wrong direction from a public health point of view.
And Doc, this is so predictable and depressing. So the outbreak of measles in West Texas has now grown to 58 cases. This one I wanted to get your take off. Now they're saying, including 4 patients who say they were vaccinated. Investigators are in the process of confirming whether the 4 were, in fact, vaccinated and how many doses they had received. This outbreak is the largest in more than 30 years, and it comes at a time when vaccination rates among children, as you know, have plummeted tragically. Alongside the decrease in vaccination numbers, Texas lawmakers have introduced over 20 bills into the legislature aimed at loosening vaccine requirements from the state. So I'm just curious what your take is on that. Again, I guess investigators will find out. I find it hard to believe, that they were vaccinated, but because it's just a historically low vaccinated area.
And once the vaccination rate drops below 85 to 90%, that means the community is susceptible to a significant outbreak of measles. So when you decide I'm not going to vaccinate my child, and if enough people are doing that, that makes the entire community vulnerable. So, and to have as Secretary of Health and Human Services a guy who is a vaccine doubter, a conspiracist, who says that he doesn't believe the evidence that vaccines are safe and effective, we have the makings of a very dangerous reality in America for America's children, for people that have immune defense problems, et cetera. So God knows what we're in for across the board, from public health to foreign policy to the economy, really. It's this strap yourself in kind of moment in America.
You wrote a piece, it's so interesting. People that, are still cheering whatever's going on. You just said in terms of the health stuff, you said, well, some of you may be thinking, well, good, the health system's broken. It needs a wholesale shakeup. And you said, but that's a far cry from what the new administration has in mind. It's not surprising that the let it burn people are watching it burn going, yay.
Right.
Look at this. You said, now is not the time for us to feel overwhelmed and helpless. Now is precisely the time for our profession to actively resist damaging changes heading our way. Talk to us about that, about what doctors can do, because that's what your piece was about.
Yeah, so my piece was really my reaction to the fact that the largest, most influential medical organizations like the AMA, the American Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, have been silent on many of these key issues. They refuse to speak out against Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s nomination as Secretary of HHS, and now we have him. And I'm telling you, if the AMA had said, no, you can't have him as Secretary of Health and Human Services. He's dangerous. He wants to take us in the wrong direction. They are a big lobbying organization. They contribute a lot to Republican campaigns for members of Congress, and they remain silent.
Yeah,
the Academy of Pediatrics remains silent. It's
this
amazing.
Is why we've been talking about Senator Cassidy. Just sums up everything you need to know about the cowardly, disgrace that is this Republican Party. He's a doctor. He votes for Bobby Kennedy, and then he has the audacity to link to the story about the measles outbreak in Texas, and his home state of Louisiana not mandating vaccines anymore. Like he knows better.
Right. That's what he campaigned for.
Yeah.
And by the way, he was pretty tough on Kennedy during the hearings.
And then voted for him.
He was really tough on him.
Yeah.
At the end of those hearings, you could have reasonably, rationally thought that he's never going to vote for Kennedy, and he caved.
Yeah.
They all caved, every single one of them, and that's another phenomenon that's going to have to be understood by American politicians and strategists, because I don't know why the entire Republican Party on the Senate side, and really in the House as well, have fallen behind Donald Trump.
Yeah.
All of them.
So let me get your take on this last, just what the impact of all this is going to be. Mass firings continue across nation's health agencies, Health and Human Services Department. This was, this past weekend, continuing a chaotic purge of the federal workforce that career officials and lawmakers warned would key programs impair efforts to track threats to public health. So this hit the FDA, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. They terminated some staff responsible for emergency preparedness and response. What could possibly go wrong there? They cast the layoffs as methodical decisions meant to spare HHS core functions, yet those inside the agencies disputed that portrayal, describing deep cuts at times seemed indiscriminate, with even some Trump appointees unaware of which of their employees were being fired or why. These cuts include people working at Medicare and Medicaid initiatives aimed at improving care for beneficiaries, everything from that regulate prescription drugs, medical devices. Layoffs at the FDA included staff who review medical device products. I mean, it's just hard to put into words what all this means, and how these, and also they're trying to say they're firing people for cause, and they're not.
Right. So one of the things I think, as we're closing out here, I think a message for all of us and for all of your millions of listeners is that we can't get paralyzed by this overwhelming rush of insanity out of the government. That's exactly what they wanted to have happen.
Yeah.
They wanted us to feel overwhelmed and powerless. And I think that's what should be resisted all the time when you speak to friends and associates, colleagues at work, when you interact with your congressional offices. Don't stop thinking about what you can do to resist this onslaught. This can't go on, or we will not have a recognizable U.S. constitutional government in a very short time. So we got to hang in there, as difficult as it may be.
Yep. All right. We love you, Dr. Doom.
Yes.
Doomy as you are.
Bye, guys.
Super doomy. 21 minutes after the hour. Roll along. Oh, Nanstradamus. If only you weren't right about everything. I'm sorry.
I'm right
Are
about
you just finishing up?
everything.
You are.
Which particular tome are you reading right now?
Well, the funny thing is, I wrote this book in 2018, came out in 2019, called The Plot to Betray America.
Yeah.
And it made the Times bestsellers list for a short period of time on the strength of my great fans. But it just wasn't the strongest of the 4 books that I had written in terms of sales.
Yeah.
Every literal word I wrote in this is happening right now. And I know others have come out with books that are similar. Seth Abramson and, and other journalists have come out. But I just flipped this open because I wanted to take a look at some of the things that I had predicted. Now, my favorite is chapter 3 called Trump, the Dog to be Walked, right? And it starts off with this. He may talk like an idiot and look like an idiot, but don't let that fool you. He really is an idiot. And that's Groucho Marx. The problem with this is it's about how the Russians led him around by the nose ring and started surveillance on him in 1977. And in 1988, at some point when they brought him to Moscow, it appears that they made a very long-term, strong effort to flip him into an asset. And I've been saying this for years now, that he is an asset of the Russian Federation. But this week, I'm really convinced he worked for the Russians and works for Russia right now.
Yeah. Well, this is why we I particularly, but most of us fell in love with you because you wrote the book, literally, The Plot to Hack America, before the 2016 election. You were the only one warning Putin is interfering in this election to install Donald Trump. And, you were obviously proven correct in record time. But I think for even of those of us that could have seen this coming, it is kind of stunning to watch this. Right? Him blaming Ukraine, doing all Kremlin talking points, blaming Ukraine for the invasion of Ukraine. I mean, Zelensky said yesterday, that Trump lives in a disinformation space. The fact that the U.S. held direct talks with Russia helped Putin out of his long isolation. I mean, it is hard to believe the things coming out of Trump's mouth, isn't it? Even for us.
No. Okay, first off, it is not hard to believe what comes out of Trump's mouth. When we think that he is talking smack and talking Russian talking points, Zelensky put it quite well. He is living in the reality that he has been given. He has been given this reality that Russia is great from his first wife, who was from the Czech Republic, who lived in a communist state behind the Iron Curtain. Her father was the guy collecting all of the phone calls and letters from Donald Trump to them. When the kids came there, Ivanka Jr. and Eric came there, they were under the surveillance of the KGB and Czech intelligence. The KGB knew Donald Trump wanted to run for president in 1988 before anyone else knew, and then they invited him to Moscow and treated him like a god. And when Putin came into office and he got the 4-foot-high Donald Trump stack of information, he saw this was a man you could buy. And it's not that I shouted that out in 2016. I shouted out in 2017 with the plot to destroy democracy, 2018 with the plot to betray America, and they want to look, I'm not doing this for my health. Yeah. You can't get rich being an author. I'm just saying, you need to understand that when he says this stuff that comes out of Russia, that's what he believes. It's the only time you will hear the truth from him.
No, he is upending the entire world order. You had an interesting take on it, too. You said, let's be honest, Trump embracing Moscow and selling out Ukraine has nothing to do with the war. Trump wants revenge against Zelensky for the...
Yes.
I know. I've been texting with them. Oh, my God, I miss them so much. I have a lot to talk to them about from their new Something Ain't Right podcast, mostly regarding Little House on the Prairie. I think that must have been when Frances lost her black card the first time, but we will find out tomorrow.
Francis watched Little House on the Prairie?
Huge fan.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, lots of spoiler alerts.
I saw a drag version of it on stage in Silver Lake once.
Fantastic.
It was fun.
Okay.
About Silver Lake.
Yeah.
Love the love. Oh, you wanted me to say.
That is not Tina Turner.
Tim says, love letter. Hi, everyone. Just want to let you know how much I appreciate your show. It certainly helps me get through the day. I'm a baggage handler in Chicago. I listen to WCPT with my earbuds while sorting and loading baggage.
Sweet.
Hi, Tim.
I wonder if he sorted and handled our baggage when we were there last year.
I bet is that what the kids are calling it. My coworkers look at it, I mean, like I'm goofy when I bust out laughing or sing along with a jingle. I wouldn't have it any other way. Oh, we love you, Tim. Thanks. Wheels up and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I bet you he sings along with the sack of crap jingle.
Yes, I bet you that's his favorite. Where is it?
You're a lying sack of crap. You're a lying sack of crap. You're a lying, scheming, stinking, nasty sack of liquid crap.
Chris, who said, let me be perfectly clear, inflation crushed the Joe Biden presidency. It ate it alive. If Donald Trump is not careful, inflation will crush his presidency and eat it alive because that's where Americans want him to be focused.
Kukla, Fran, and Ollie.
No, that's a good guess, but no, that's incorrect. It's Harry Enten, the CNN data reporter.
Yeah.
55% of voters want Trump to focus on inflation or the economy. It's
I was just reading. The Washington Post has this massive article this morning about how people polls are showing that Trump isn't doing what they want him to do.
Yeah. Well, first of all, in yet another edition of Now a Warning, what is going on with the Wall Street Journal? Rupert Murdoch is one of the
Now a warning?
major reasons we're in this mess and Donald Trump is president. And now the Wall Street Journal is writing a different editorial every day about how awful he is when they just endorsed him, didn't they? Or the New York Times will write an editorial and you're like, you spiked your endorsement of Kamala Harris. Oh my God. I hate everyone. Wall Street Journal took Trump to task in yet another critical editorial this week, this time over his rehabilitation of Vladimir Putin. They lamented the looming rehabilitation of Vladimir Putin is especially hard to take. The editorial enumerated Putin's crime, which includes starting the biggest land war in Europe since Hitler, killing or maiming hundreds of thousands, kidnapping Ukrainian children, torturing and executing enemy combatants. He said they finished, usually those kind of men aren't rewarded with a visit to the U.S., as Mr. Trump hinted at last week. Okay. Thanks for coming late to the party and without a dish to pass, Wall Street Journal, but we'll take it, I suppose. God. 29 minutes after the hour. Dana Gold.
You guys know our next guest, Allison Gill, known to many as AG, is a terrific force for democracy. She is a public servant. She is an author. She's an entertainer. She's a broadcaster. She's a comedian. She is an advocate for every kind of moral and intelligent resistance. When the government investigated her podcast that she began out of her kitchen, Mueller, She Wrote, back in 2017, Trump had her fired, even though she'd been working for them for more than 11 years. Catch the Daily Beans podcast and all the podcasts from MSW Media. Dr. Allison Gill, it's a great pleasure to have you back.
Hello. How's it going, John?
As just now, we got word that a federal judge, another one. Let's get used to a lot of headlines saying a federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to restore funding for hundreds of foreign aid contractors who say they've been devastated by Trump's abrupt and, in their view, illegal 90-day blanket freeze. A Washington, D.C. Based appointee of Judge Joe Biden, Amir Ali, said the Trump administration failed to account for the extraordinary harm caused by the broad-based halt to foreign aid. We get to go to bed knowing the judicial branch is still there fighting for us, Allison.
Yes, what we have to wonder is whether the executive branch will follow the orders of the judicial branch. We've already seen a violation of a temporary restraining order in the funding freeze. So we'll see how this ends up going. But, I'm glad that the courts are there. We just have to find out whether or not they're going to actually enforce these orders. And if they can and do, how will they? Because we need the executive branch to cooperate, including the marshals, and we need the Congress to cooperate too, which is run by the Republicans.
Exactly, Mundo. I mean, it is kind of crazy to wonder, but we were discussing with Professor Corey Brettschneider the other night, author and Brown University professor who does the show. the very fact that he's already disobeying these judges, the very fact that he's defying these orders like they were a subpoena to let us get those documents back from your house, the fact that he pushed the TikTok ban and now he's openly defying the Supreme Court upholding it. The constitutional crisis is in progress, right? I mean, if he's already defying court orders, then that's it. We are in a crisis.
100%. And just the the broad dismantling of our federal workforce alone is a constitutional crisis. Ignoring court orders to not do that takes it a step further.
I want to talk about how deeply unpopular some of the deeply stupid cuts they're making and policies they're enacting will be with their own MAGA base. But let me lead into that by playing this clip, clip A3 from earlier today. Senator Amy Klobuchar, she's talking about President Elon Musk and his proposed cuts to the VA. Give a listen to this because, boy, they are dumb.
I watch every day when I'm in Minnesota and I'm in one of our VA facilities how the employees treat our veterans with dignity. They deserve dignity too. That's what this is about in the end. And as my friend and Dick Blumenthal's friend, John McCain once said, and Maggie knew him very well as well, nothing in life is more liberating than to fight for a cause larger than yourself. Standing up for our veterans and our employees that work with our veterans, that's a cause worth fighting. That's a cause larger than ourselves. Thank you.
Allison, I always thought the two classes of civilians that MAGA would always care about were veterans and cops. We now know they don't care about actual cops, but I kind of feel like as things get bad for our veterans because of these unelected douchebags, I mean, they just proposed a 20% cut in SNAP benefits. Who's that going to hurt worse than military families? What do you think the backlash is going to be? Because I'm already smelling a pendulum swing here.
Well, it depends. Unfortunately, a lot of folks who are in the Trump cult are not going to believe what's happening to them when it actually happens to them. I mean, we've already seen the first inflation report for January is off the charts. And the Trump administration is just going to turn around and say, what is happening to you? This 53% rise in the cost of eggs isn't real. Don't listen to the liberals when they tell you that this is a real thing that's happening. And so I'm very concerned because you can't, it's really hard to snap people out of a cult mentality. You have to.
And now they are about to find out. So we're in the find out phase.
Jasmine Crockett, broke states. Y'all broke states. I just. Okay, Hank, getting my vein ready for some more. Here
All right. My takeaway is just like the election. We've got to do better at education. People don't understand, but you will understand when those hospitals in rural America start closing down even more. You will understand when you don't have your Social Security. You will understand when your Medicaid, your Medicare goes away. You will understand as planes continue to fall out of the sky. Soon you will understand why it's important to maybe have somebody that isn't loud and ridiculous, and maybe Sleepy Joe is what we wanted because we could at least sleep at night.
Yes. Just hot off the press. Literally, you handed me.
Right.
Many of Trump's early actions are unpopular, according to the latest Post-Ipsos poll. Yep. I mean, no kidding. Yeah. Right? I think I see 43% only approve of what Trump is doing so far. So, again, that's our job, is to connect it to everyday people's lives, which is what Jasmine Crockett's so good at.
This guy has decided that after monies were appropriated to literally turn off the spigot of money just at will because he wanted to do it. Who's to say that if we enter into good faith negotiations and we get some of the things that we feel like are good for the American people, that he won't just do what he wants to do and ignore the stuff he doesn't want to do? So I don't think that we should be voting for this. They have a Trump trifecta. Y'all better figure it out.
Speaking of polling, new polling confirms most Americans don't like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg.
No.
Again, not sure people thought we were going to have a President Musk. So over half of U.S. adults reported they had an unfavorable view of Musk, while 42% view him positively. Zuckerberg's higher, 67% disapprove, 25% approve.
Okay.
But again, it's
Well, we've had more experience with Mark Zuckerberg.
Well,
and
right,
how
but
awful he
also
is.
73% of Republicans have a favorable view of Musk because Trump says so.
Yeah.
Because, but this is just, I remember this. I was telling you this. I remember this tweet from back in Trump's first term. Picture of him with Musk in the Oval Office in his first term. And he said, when Elon Musk came to the White House asking me for help on all his many subsidized projects, whether it's electric cars that don't drive long enough or driverless cars that crash or rocket ships to nowhere, without which subsidies he'd be worthless, and telling me how he was a big Trump fan and Republican, I could have said, drop your knees and beg, and he would have done it. I remember the whole implying that Elon Musk would have given him a BJ. And this is where we are today, where I just read this exchange with a reporter on him talking about all the government contracts that Elon Musk said. How is that not a conflict? And Trump's like, oh, I'm just hearing this now. I wasn't aware. I don't know. Really? Really? He's aware.
Yeah, of course he's aware.
It's because Elon Musk helped install him.
He's playing dumb because he is dumb.
You know what? Sometimes I'm like, shush, Steve Bannon, don't tick them off. Steve Bannon sometimes...
He's going to sting you. He's going to sting you.
Broken clock. But he struck a word of caution for Republicans who have fully embraced tech oligarchs. He said, by the way, those oligarchs, just like they've turned on you now, meaning to the media, he said they've abandoned the progressive left. They will abandon us and do the same thing. They seek power. Right now, their feeling is like they can see the math and they can see we have a built-in coalition, so they're with us, but only temporarily. That's true. Musk just sold, right? Look at the money he's made. But his investment in Trump has paid off 11 billion fold already. And that's all that it's about. They have no core principles except money, just like Trump. Anyway, he said, Bannon went on to say, he wants to impose his freak experiments and play act as God without any respect for the country's history, values, or traditions. He had called him a parasitic illegal immigrant and warned him against slashing Medicaid because a lot of Trumpers are on Medicaid. I mean, I hate to say it, but sometimes Steve Bannon's... But that being said, fight, big bag of rats. You're both equally awful, just in totally different ways.
If you let him carry you over the river, he's going to sting you.
That's right. Okay, let's go to Patty in Chicago. Hi, Patty. I was looking for the rats, by the way. Big bag of rats.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Patty. Yes, go ahead, Patty.
Hi, Stephanie. This is Patty. I called a long time ago, so now I'm not as fired up inside, but I am fired up.
I'm sorry.
But I was really pissed when I called because I looked at the Trump picture that his White House, not my White House, put out regarding the pricing, the congestion pricing in New York, where there's a picture of Trump with a crown on his head. And it says King Trump or whatever the bullshit is.
Heavens. Oh, Patty. All right. She waited a long time to drop an S-bomb. Good job, Bella. You know what?
Bella jumped.
Bella has very quick reflexes. Bella is 11 billion years younger than you are.
That's right.
Like a cat.
Yeah.
Oh, someone wants to know, by the way, that we have a number of questions that come in. People want to know why Bella dresses like it is 20 degrees in here and we dress like it's 80 degrees.
I run
Because you would think it's the old people that have the circulation problems, and you wear these big sweaters.
Yes, I wear my big sweaters and my big... I run cold. I run so cold.
And I run hot, so that's why I'm always
you're
in
just
shorts.
A giant block of sweaty muscle
Well.
made of cheese and other proteins.
This room in the summertime does get hot, though, because it's not insulated.
Yeah.
So we do have an air conditioner in here.
Oh, yay.
Oh, yeah, don't worry. Okay. You're gonna
It's also, we're rolling in at like 5 a.m., so it's going to be cold.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, just, people have questions.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, all right.
Bella always looks cozy.
She does.
Yes.
I told her she looks like she's off to Telluride after the show. I mean, not on this salary, but essentially. just like Rocky Mountain Mike has been prolific.
Yes, he has.
Don't I feel like, isn't it always the time? Because we were just talking about what season it is and what to wear. Isn't it always the time of the treason?
Yes, it
for
is.
Donald Trump, I think so. That is an evergreen because it's always the time of the treason for Trump.
For Trump.
Christopher,
Yes.
Who said the Ukraine war has always been a deep state funded and controlled money laundering operation and proxy war against Russia. Zelensky is an actor in a green jumpsuit that extorts money from everyone while he canceled elections and destroyed free speech in Ukraine that leads to a war that's nearly wiped out an entire generation of Ukrainian men. I have never voted to fund that war, and I will not vote to fund that war. It needs to end. Who said that?
Punch and Judy.
No, that was a good Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Why does she exist?
I don't. She's the mayor of Crazy Town. Do we still have that Marjorie Taylor Greene jingle? She is the mayor. She remains the once and always mayor of Crazy Town.
Jingle,
Maybe MJT jingle.
Crazy Town?
In other military news, Secretary Rapey McDrunky. Or is it Drunky McRapey?
Pete Hegseth.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, how'd you know who I meant?
Well, I mean, he's drunky and rapey, allegedly.
He's considering firing a slate of military generals as early as this week. Pentagon leadership has shared with Republican members of the House and Senate a list of generals and officers who could be fired, most associated with Lloyd Austin, former Secretary Lloyd Austin. Can you just seriously, this rapey, drunk, allegedly, really? Firing like these, amazing, heroes that I don't, just one. All right, Senator Ron Wyden, please.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Donald Trump endorsed the House budget resolution, and this resolution mandates that $880 billion in cuts come from the House Energy and Commerce Committee. There is no plausible way to hit that target without hundreds of billions of dollars in cuts to Medicaid and nursing home care and for kids and the like.
Thank you. Jill in Pennsylvania. Hi, Jill.
Hi, how are you guys,
Good, go ahead.
today? You're making me happy.
Oh, good.
B.A. Bella, you are amazing.
Oh, thanks.
So don't go anywhere. We need you. And I'm 73. I'm learning all sorts of stuff from you.
Oh, my
But I
gosh.
called in the other day.
Oh, Jill, with Jill, I was going to say Bella has found out how clingy we all are in record time.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, we love you, Bella.
Exactly.
Don't go.
Yeah. We're on her face like a
We do, we
koala,
do.
not letting go.
Exactly. But I called in the other day, and at about 58 minutes, somebody came in and they said, "Hello, this is Stephanie, and we want to thank you for your support." And I thought, well, this is different. And then it went on, and it did a long screed about how wonderful President Trump is, and thank you for your new support for the RNC, and we're now going to put you on. Yes. And then we need your information, so thank you for, supporting us. And then it went to, they were going to ask me questions and get money, I guess. I don't know.
Was this a phone call?
This is ridiculous. And I said, well, F you, and hung up.
Okay.
And then about 10 minutes later, I was watching the show on Free Speech, and it went, and Jill in PA. And I went, well, I hung up a while ago. Somebody hacked into your phone system.
Oh.
So I wonder if that's what happens sometimes when you're getting these calls and nobody's answering.
I don't know.
All right, we're going to have to.
Really, really weird.
Wait, I'm confused.
And
This
I
isn't,
told
you
your-
called this number, our show. And
Yes, that number. Yes, and I called it yesterday, and I got through fine, and it put me on, and I could listen to it over the phone. And but then I had my grandkid came, and I had to hang up.
All right.
yesterday, so they didn't get
All
to
right.
tell you this. This was 2 days. It was just
we're
very,
liberals, so
very
we don't
strange.
judge. So do you dabble in psychedelics, or
Oh, no.
I'm just asking whether.
No,
Okay, all
I
right.
don't.
She's a grandmother.
I don't. I'm
Have you ever seen
73.
Woodstock?
Long time ago, I did
right.
a couple of puffs, but I never.
I knew it. I knew it.
Does.
All right, love you, Jill.
So,
All right,
but
we're gonna have to
this was
look. We're gonna have to look into this, but okay. Just did a couple of pops, tabs, something,
Puffs.
whatever.
She smoked the.
There's a lot of psychedelic grandmas at Woodstock. Wake up, Grandpa.
I need to party with Jill.
Yeah,
there you go.
she smoked the marijuana cigarette.
When are you free?
Mary Jane.
Yes, the Mary Jane.
Okay. Can I just say, this story is just tragic and infuriating at the same time. I'm sure everybody's heard of this by now. An 11-year-old girl took her own life in Texas after she was tormented by her classmates who threatened to call Immigration and Customs Enforcement and have her family deported from the U.S. I keep saying that's like the only thing Trump that we import or export anymore is hate. You know, we did the story about the two. They happened to actually be Israeli tourists. The guy shot because he thought they were Palestinians. You know, thank God they're okay.
Yeah.
But it's just, we all have those love Trump's hate shirts, and it just is. God, I hope it's true. I hope it's not just aspirational, because that is just beyond tragic. And she was trying to get help. She went to get counseling, but it's just, you know, so my imagination, bullying's gotten way worse on every. Because since
Trump
we have a bully
okay.
in the Oval Office.
Trump made it okay.
Yeah.
That's
just
why.
Bullying and name calling has become, you know, from the top down, just it's like this sort of, you know, loss of decency and kindness, you know. Bella talks about how screwed up her generation is.
Oh, yeah.
Proudly. That everyone's on antidepressants. No one wants to get married or have kids.
Nope. I saw it in the first presidency when I was in high school.
Yeah.
The little boys became a-holes so fast.
Yeah.
And that continued to now. It's
Yeah.
happening again. It's another wave.
I have a question from yesterday's Bella seminar. What is a trad wife?
Okay, so trad wife is this trend that's happening right now. It's being used a lot in Gen Z lingo, where women are going back to...
It stands for traditional
wife. So 1950s, nuclear family, cooking, cleaning,
And
taking
why?
care of the kids.
Why would they want that?
You know, I ask myself that every day. I really don't know why.
It almost seems like it borders on fetish.
It's like what these men want. What like men in my generation make jokes about, like, well, I want a trad wife. Da, 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 da. It's like,
And so it's them trying to be like,
yeah.
Oh, we all did that. We would try to want boys to like us. I gave up on that quite some time ago.
Yeah, you gave up on that in the KBC parking lot.
Oh no, I was still down with it then.
Oh, okay.
Oh dear. I understand. You know me. I get all well. You know, as Jen Kirkman points out, I get all trad wife around. You know, I make coffee for, you know, when Glenn Kirshner's here, or you know, the guy that owns the show. I get all girly and caretakey.
Okay. Speaking of Jen, she's going to be joining us in about a week and a half.
Oh,
I've already booked her,
fantastic! All right, she's going to give me for making coffee only for male guests.
Yeah.
It comes out sometimes. It's our natural instincts, right?
It does. When my nephew's here, I'm always like, "Can I get you a beer, honey? Is this the right channel for football?"
And speaking of your nephew, that trailer just came out yesterday for his new show on Netflix.
He stars as the president in The Residence, which is the new Shonda Rhimes Netflix series.
Yes. It's like a screwball murder mystery set at the White House.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my God, fantastic, huge cast.
Yep.
Amazing. All right, 49 minutes. Hiya, Charlie.
Hi, Mama. How you doing?
Well, you know, I could use a few more heroes of democracy.
Hello, Chris. Hi, Charlie.
Don't encourage
You
him.
can turn off that man's microphone. You can sell T-shirts saying he's wrong. His voice will ring out over every village and hamlet.
That is correct.
Let freedom and annoying Chris ring. Okay.
Oh, and by the way, good morning, Jody Hamilton.
Good morning, Charlie Pierce. Not in front of the baby. Having sex in front of the crib. Stop it. Yeah, and this is where we just go.
It's great. It's got one of those little mobiles going.
Bella, look at the mobile. Don't look at mommy and daddy having sex. Look. Okay. This is where we get to the name calling part. Here's Thom Homan.
Well, first of all, I think she's, look, she's the dumbest congresswoman ever elected to the Congress, and she proves that every day. And look, bottom line is, I can't believe any member of Congress, Republican, Democrat, Independent, would want to educate criminal illegal aliens. Yeah. You got a congressman or congresswoman that does not want ICE to do the job that Congress has mandated them to do and funds them to do.
It is just completely incorrect. And it's the same, play that Trump does every time, especially about women. They're all dumb. Kamala Harris is dumb, whoever else. I mean.
Yeah, plus, Mr. Homan's presentation is just wonderful.
Oh,
yeah. Like his teeth are made of bubble gum.
Charlie, it occurs to me, the Supreme Court, as you write about this week, they kind of started this nonsense with this whole immunity thing. But you wrote a piece that how the Supreme Court responds to this request from Trump matters to all of us. They asked him to clear the way for the president to fire the leader of an independent agency that investigates whistleblower reports filed by government workers, the first time Trump has appealed to the justices for help in his efforts to remake and seize greater control of the federal bureaucracy. You said the president is putting it to Roberts very plainly. He expects his carefully manufactured conservative majority on the court to endorse his wild smash and grab spree throughout the executive branch. This is a naked demand for the judiciary to act as a tool of the executive. That's exactly, I keep calling it a smash and grab, Charlie. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, this is the bill coming due to John Roberts. You know, this is why I gave you this majority. And by the way, this is the issue on which Mitch McConnell stopped being a hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, goes back to being the, Prince of Darkness as far as the judiciary.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And you also write the Dojin Pony Show. Get it? See what he did there? He's good. The Dojin Pony Show's latest stunt with the IRS is flatly appalling. You said this is appalling on its face. It's time for individual bureaucrats to start refusing admission to their offices, lay in provisions, lock the doors, barricade them, alert the media so you'll get coverage when they break down the doors and haul you out, throw your bodies into the machine, people. I mean, the head of Social Security got fired for saying, no, you can't have access to this private information. But I mean, so I'm not sure how the barricades are holding, but there are some people trying, right? whether to dismiss Eric Adams' corruption case. The federal judge heard the case yesterday. Dale Ho. Fill in your own joke here.
It was in my thought bubble. It did not go out past that.
I mean, this is Senator Murphy talking about this.
Donald Trump just cut with the mayor of New York. It's a big deal. We've never seen anything like this so brazen and out in the open. That the mayor of New York and a Trump official would go on national TV to announce that they had made an arrangement in which Mayor Adams could continue his corruption as long as he was politically loyal to Donald Trump. They did that out in the open on TV because it's a signal to everybody else out there that the law will be applied differently to you if you are loyal to the president.
Everything he does is quid pro quo.
Absolutely.
And that's why they didn't just drop the charges or, pardon him. Because that means they can still bring the charges if he doesn't do the quo of
the quid pro.
Right. The quid, I don't know which is the quid and which is the pro quo, but you know what I'm saying.
He's a pro at quid pro quo.
That's why they're holding it over his head. And the government lawyer seemed to admit that this isn't about him being innocent. It's about, we want him to do this for us. Yeah. Okay. Here's some good news, good legal news. Okay. Three-panel judge of the Ninth Circuit declined the Justice Department's request to immediately reinstate Trump's executive order limiting birthright citizenship, setting up a potential emergency application to the Supreme Court. Legal experts have said Trump's order conflicts with the 14th Amendment, which I apparently still have. Yeah. All right, so we'll talk to Glenn Kirshner about all of that and more tomorrow. Dana Goldberg is next.
Hi, and welcome back to Reverse Shot. This is the show where we take a look at the failures and successes of the press. Today, we're taking a look at one issue. How do you deal with a tyrant? Well, according to J.D. Vance, our vice president, who showed up in Munich, Germany to speak to our allies, our staunchest allies, you got to learn to live and let live. Yes, in a speech where he eviscerated our staunchest allies, he questioned their democracy and said, look, you may disagree or agree with us, but we will defend to death your right to say whatever it is. Take a listen.
And just as the Biden administration seemed desperate to silence people for speaking their minds, so the Trump administration will do precisely the opposite, and I hope that we can work together on that. In Washington, there is a new sheriff in town, and under Donald Trump's leadership, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square, agree or disagree.
Meanwhile, back at the White House, Donald Trump praised his vice president for his efforts, while at the same time showing his hypocrisy at nearly the same time that Vance was on stage in Germany. He has banned the Associated Press from being a part of the presidential pool. Why? Because the Associated Press has decided that it is still going to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of Mexico. That really angers Donald Trump. Not only does he disagree with Associated Press, but by God, he's not going to put up with it. Take a look at this statement. That's right, it's a presidential decree and you'd better follow it. Meanwhile, Ted Boutros, who defended both me and Jim Acosta in our fights against the Donald Trump first administration when he tried to pull our press passes, has come out and said the AP has a great grounds for suing Donald Trump and that it has compromised the First Amendment and that there is no reason for this decision. Take a look at his statement. Meanwhile, there's only been one exchange between reporters and the administration about this issue. During the fourth presidential press briefing by the presidential PEP secretary, Caitlin Collins from CNN asked this very pointed question. Here is the exchange between Collins and the PEP secretary.
And final thing for you, which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office?
and the diplomatic reception room last night?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the geographical identification name server. And Apple has recognized that. Google has recognized that. Pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America. And it's very important to this administration that we get that right.
Okay, a few points. First of all, the rest of the world hasn't recognized the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. And the AP has offices all over the world, and they set the standards. So they're wise to wait until there's been a law passed or other countries recognize it. Also, Trump does not get to decree or dictate the facts. Now, if this doesn't stop, pretty soon he's going to ban everyone from the press pool except his fans. And we've seen enough of those in the press briefings. A lot of times just thanking Trump for being a great president while failing to ask good questions. Also, it isn't a privilege to cover the president. It's our job, sanctioned by the First Amendment. It is a privilege for Donald Trump to be in the Oval Office by the grace of 77 million voters, and he's still an employee. He's not the king. He's not a dictator. He doesn't get to decide what the facts are. The only thing the PEP secretary got right is that it is a privilege for her to be in the White House. Finally, there was no follow-up from the press after Collins asked this very important question. None. The press briefing went on for another 20 minutes, and no one even touched this issue. But like I said, there were plenty of people who congratulated Donald Trump on being a great guy. Some say we should boycott the briefings with the president and his PEP secretary, and some say we should just not cover the president. No. I was told that many times during the first Trump administration. Let me tell you where that leads. You boycott and we walk out. He fills a room with a lot of his sycophants who will again congratulate him on being a great president and won't ask any questions. Also, if we don't cover him, well, there are plenty of reporters who will. We're not going to cooperate in this. Your best goal is to don't let him fill the void with sycophants. Now, apparently the WHCA, that's the White House Correspondents Association, has sent a letter to its organizations asking all these organizations and companies to stand up for the Associated Press. That's not going to cut it either. That's just going to give Donald Trump a blacklist of companies that he can retaliate against. No, that's not the answer. The answer is the proximate man, the people in the pool and in the White House who have direct access to the President of the United States. Let me put this as bluntly as I can, especially to my colleagues in the press. If you want to cover Donald Trump, then you have to be the immovable object. You have to stand fast and ask him questions. You have to refuse to move, refuse to bend, refuse to break, and ask him the tough questions. That's your job. Push back against his verbal defecation. It doesn't matter what he or other reporters or your mother thinks about you. Your job is to ask questions of the President of the United States. Speak truth to power. You must put that ahead of your own job. You must put it ahead of your career. Your public is waiting. You're the public's representative. You're not at the White House to be popular. You're not there to make friends. If you need a friend, get a dog. Yes, I know. It was, who said that? Yeah, a president, Truman. Do your job. Be ready to go to jail. Be ready to lose access. Otherwise, you're part of the problem, and right now we need solutions. Donald Trump is sticking his index finger, middle finger, and ring finger up to the world, and he's saying, read between the lines. Donald, let me return the favor. This is Reverse Shot. We'll see you next time.
Wow. You had some thoughts on trad wives before the break that was quite entertaining.
Oh, did you already? Were you already talking about trad wives?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, because Bella teaches us something new every day, that there's some new
yeah.
trend among, 20-year-olds, like, I don't know, to be trad wives, which are traditional wives, apparently.
No, every single one of those trad wives of these tech bros has a lesbian lover on the side.
Okay, all right.
Every Friday night, she's spending time with Julie, drinking, strawberry boons, having a
Check
good
their
time.
nails.
Like, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
No,
Thank you for
that's
that fun
fine.
fact.
Take his money. Take his money. Enjoy your girlfriend.
You are a scamp, Dana Goldberg. Okay.
You think I'm wrong?
You tweeted, Stonewall could not have happened without the trans community. You can't change history, and we won't allow you to erase our family. I just did this tragic story. This 11-year-old girl that killed herself because her classmates bullied her that they were going to call ICE and have her parents deported. And, I just was saying, we have a bully in chief. And so, you can't tell me that bullying hasn't increased. And, of course, that's on one of his issues, right?
Right.
And we were talking about the guy that shot 2 Israeli tourists because he thought they were Palestinians. I mean, it just
he's giving people free rein to have the worst of their humanity come out, if you even call it humanity, for an 11-year-old to get bullied so badly that she even understands the concept of suicide. Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said in that, as well as that was the option that she took. People are raising mean children, and that goes on the parents. They are raising bullies, and that goes from the top down, including POTUS. So, yeah, they are learning it from somewhere. It's absolutely horrifying. But, you started it with this the blue sky thing about taking the trans community out of Stonewall. It's absurd. It's absurd. The bricks didn't throw themselves.
Yeah.
Sylvia Rivera, Marsha P. Johnson, Stormy, even though there's still speculation on who threw the first bricks, our trans and non-binary, gender non-conforming family were on the front lines of Stonewall. You're not going to rewrite history. You're just not. Yeah. We're not going to let that happen. We won't, as a community.
Yeah. And we did a story yesterday of, J.D. Vance on social media calling Mehdi Hassan a dummy. It's gotten to be just endemic that all the way to the top. I mean, the president calls someone a name every day. Yeah. I mean, I don't for the life of me. I may end up a trad wife. You never know, Bella. It depends on my options.
No.
I am ready for my sugar mama. But,
I'm not sure by definition, if you have a lesbian lover, you could ever be a traditional wife, but that's okay.
You can have elements, but
yeah. Sure, there's elements. There's elements.
I look good in an apron.
Yeah.
Listen,
do you?
And nothing else. Anyway. But what's my point,
what
Dana?
Show did
Who
I
can
sign
remember?
What? Yeah.
Am I on the wrong Zoom? Hang on.
Am I in the wrong Zoom room?
What was I saying? I don't remember my point. Help me. Help Mama back. What was I talking about? Oh.
You were talking about rewriting history.
Well, just, just this meanness that's like, I know it's
horrible.
not new, I guess, but I don't know how you, that was my point. I don't know how you raise kids today when you have a bully in chief. It's just constant name calling, and now the vice president too. It's just, how do you raise a kid to go, don't do that?
I just have to hope that there's enough parents out there that are raising their children to be good human beings that will speak up. I was watching that show, like, What Would You Do? I don't know, there's some sort of a rerun or something on TV. And it's really interesting watching people bullying other people. Who stands up for them? And there's still a lot of good humanity out there. It's just these stories are the ones that make the news as they should because of what's happening in our country right now. It's really awful that we're in this timeline. I don't know what else to say about it. It's horrible.
A lot of people say they don't know how it wasn't over when he made fun of the disabled reporter.
Yeah.
Like, is there a parent in the world that knows that you don't go, if your kid does that, you go, don't do that.
Yeah.
About somebody that's disabled.
Don't do that.
I mean, it's like that it didn't end then. It,
no,
tells
that
us
should have been
more.
the end of it. That absolutely should have been the end of it. The tape, the Billy Bush tape should have been the end of it. Every single thing should have been the end of it. His second impeachment should have been the end of it. They let this happen. Every single person who did not stand up for humanity and the greater good of this country let this happen. And I still blame Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear him talk about tariffs because all those tariffs are doing, in part, they might be hurting his wife's business. And that's why he's the one that's actually speaking up right now.
Yeah.
If God forbid anything hurts China, it's going to hurt his family. So, all of a sudden you have a spine because you're not running again? You could have stopped this. You could have taken him out and made sure by the Constitution he was never able to run again, and he didn't do it. I don't want to hear one more word from Mitch McConnell.
You talking about people standing with us. I feel like you're setting us up for a Heroes of Democracy segment because God knows.
Yes, I am.
Oh, thank you.
Defending our nation from the clutches of fascist idiocracy, we proudly present Heroes of Democracy.
This is about my old boyfriend, Chris Cluey, who we've had on the show, who I would totally be his trad wife. Oh my God, he's so cute. But speaking of, he's one of our straight allies. You remember Chris, right? He's the with the kicker for the Minnesota Vikings, correct?
Yes.
He was. He claimed his support for same-sex marriage made him a pariah in the league. And this was back, he was with the Vikings from 2005 to 2012. So I always said I want him to kick the bouquet at my wedding, but I just haven't found the thing yet. What's the thing? Oh, a wife. But anyway, he's on the schedule too. But he just, once a hero, always a hero. Dan, I don't know if you heard this story. So he was removed from a California City Council meeting by police after a self-described act of civil disobedience in which he trashed Trump and his supporters. He is he's a former UCLA Bruin. I'll forgive him for that because he's such a great ally. He stood before the Huntington Beach City Council and slammed Trump and the MAGA movement before he was arrested. He was protesting. They put a MAGA plaque. They installed it near a city library. And he said, I'm going to take my time to say what MAGA has stood for these past 3 weeks. MAGA stands for trying to erase trans people from existence. MAGA stands for resegregation and racism. MAGA stands for censorship and book bans. MAGA stands for firing air traffic controllers while planes are crashing. MAGA stands for firing people overseeing our nuclear arsenal. MAGA stands for firing military veterans and those serving them at the VA, including canceling research on veteran suicide. MAGA stands for cutting funds for education, including for disabled children. MAGA is profoundly corrupt, unmistakably anti-democracy, and most importantly, MAGA is explicitly a Nazi movement. Oh my God. I thought I couldn't love him more. He then said, you may have replaced a swastika with a red hat, but that is what it is. And as he approached city leaders, he said, I will now engage in the time-honored American tradition of peaceful civil disobedience. So that a police officer handcuffed him. They dragged him out. He spent 4 hours in a jail cell and then charged with disrupting an assembly. But I'm telling you, Dan, I say it every day on this show, you can model courage and you can also model cowardice. And Mitch McConnell models cowardice. And there are people like Chris out there. You're right. That just, AOC saying, go on, Tom Homan. Yeah, come at me. You want to investigate me and arrest me? I am within my rights for telling immigrants how to stay safe. Right?
Absolutely. Jasmine Crockett, Pritzker, we've got voices out there that are really pushing back. And thank God that we do. And they're not going to stop. That's one of the things that you get with social media right now. Obviously, I believe in some ways it's destroyed our society, but it's also a way right now to reach the masses and having these voices push back. There's still good people out there. There's still good billionaires out there that could do something right now. And I hope that people start to put their money where it needs to be and also pull it from where it needs to be. On February 28th, I hope people actually do not spend a dime. That is the goal. People have pulled out from Target. Black communities are not spending their money in places that are not pushing for equity, inclusion, and diversity. It matters. That's what matters to these tech billionaires, money. So let's hit them where it hurts.
I have another democracy. Okay, did you hear about this one? In a withering exchange Wednesday, a federal judge. Oh, she's a lesbian, Ann Reyes, and she likes to bring her golden retriever to court. Okay. Trad wife. Okay. In a withering exchange, a federal judge doubted the Trump administration's ability to fend off a civil challenge to an executive order barring transgender people from serving in the U.S. military. She pressed the administration about the January directive, which sought to prioritize military excellence and readiness by prohibiting transgender people from serving or enlisting. But I urge you to go. This piece is on HuffPost, but she just went right at them. I mean, she just.
Oh, it was beautiful. Yeah. She said, "You're telling me pronouns. Pronouns is what we need to worry about." And she's like, if pronouns is the problem in our military, we have much bigger problems in our military's readiness. And she just went right after him. It was beautiful. I don't love that representation matters, but in this situation, I don't love that they're calling her a lesbian judge, because we never go, that straight judge, that straight person, that male judge.
Oh, that was just
She's a judge.
That was just a personal point of order.
No, but it's in every article.
I'm on the trad wife track now, and so
totally, but it's in every article. And so then you've got the right going, it's a woke judge instead of just a judge. A judge said, you guys are full of BS. This is not going to actually fly in my courtroom. But representation matters. I just know that the other side is going to be like, of course they sided with the trans community. She's a lesbian.
Yeah, like just being woke makes you, or just being gay makes you woke, right? And I'm very sleepy most of the time, as Chris can tell you.
I mean, when you don't have a wife, you got nothing to do. How are you going to be a trad wife if you're sleeping all day?
Just napping all the time.
You gotta be your own trad
wife. You better just start some exercises, pushing some vacuums. Got to do some weights there, Steffi.
Speaking of family values, you said whatever Elon's kid actually said in the Oval Office, at least Trump is treating him like one of his own children by completely ignoring him. That was the best part, is how annoyed Trump was.
Yeah, he can't say anything. The guy's castrated by Elon Musk with whatever he did. And I think people have to remember, this isn't just about the presidency and about them making money. He kept Donald Trump out of prison. Donald was going to prison had he not won or stolen this election, whichever it may have been. He owes him everything, and so he can't say a damn word when his kid's looking at him, putting a booger on his desk saying, you're not the president. Shut your mouth.
And here is a booger. Okay, are you saying that he committed seditious crimes? Is that what you're... I don't know, it was perfect setup, and I just thought of it.
We caught it.
All right, Dana's here for the hour, so you know everything's going to be better. 19 minutes after the hour. This.
And eventually you have the racist KKK fighting the fascist Antifa in the streets of both sides.
Boy, I'll tell you, the media sure gets one thing right. The extreme right wing and the extreme left wing in this country have both totally gone off the rails.
America is being destroyed by people on both sides thinking that the other side is destroying the world.
So many insane ideas on the left and the right, and I'm sorry, but real Americans have had it. We only hear about what the far right wants and the far left wants, but what about the majority, huh?
My take is that we should condemn violence and extremism on both sides.
On the right, you have these extremists who want to overthrow democracy and have a violent revolution. They want to deregulate the polluters poisoning our air and water. They want to privatize Social Security. And on the left, these extremist nut jobs think every American should have health care. It's insane, and it's both sides, people.
I blame both sides.
I mean, these nut jobs on the right, white supremacist Confederates who reject the 2020 election, they reject science, and they want armed civil war. And these extremist nut jobs on the left think women should have control over what happens to their own bodies. I mean, hello, is this the America we know? What? This is what Andrew Yang warned us about, guys.
Quit drinking that Kool-Aid, because we're hearing it from both sides, the extreme right and the extreme left, and they have the microphone.
Because real America sees these right-wing fascists trying to scale back voting rights, trying to scale back LGBT rights, trying to sunset Social Security and Medicare. And then you got these psychopaths on the left who actually believe that Medicare should cover vision, hearing, and dental. When did both sides lose their minds, people?
America is being moved into chaos by people on both sides.
It's like the media says, what happened to the center? Actually, the media moved the center over here to the right, but what happened to it now that it's over here? Both sides don't want to put women in jail for abortion. Both sides don't play dumb about police brutality. Both sides don't want to do nothing about student loan debt. Both sides don't want to play dumb about the climate crisis. Both sides don't want to save white supremacist Confederate symbols. Both sides don't want to decriminalize weed. Both sides don't pretend that Donald Trump's spreading a racist smear for years that the first black president wasn't really born here and isn't really one of us, isn't racist. Both sides don't want to make it easier for 21-year-old males to get their hands on weapons designed to kill lots of humans really fast.
But having said that, I understand what he meant by both sides.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more. Give us a like, give us a good review, and subscribe to the John Fugelsang podcast, too.
everything's
follow
better.
her. Right, on all the socials, DG Comedy. And fantastic podcast, Daily Beans. We were talking about Midas Touch, just displaced Joe Rogan as the #1 podcast. I know you guys are right up there. That gives me hope, right? That, there are obviously progressive voices getting out there. Because, Dana, we keep saying we are just fighting this disinformation war. I would say even more than in the election. It's just getting worse. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, this is part of their plan. That's how fascism works. You spread lies, repeat them, and people start to believe them. But one of the reasons that, like, the Daily Beans and some of these, podcasts are getting so many new listeners is because Blue Sky, which both myself and Allison are on, they're not blocking outside links. Twitter used to block outside links. You have no idea how many listeners are like, I discovered you all on Blue Sky, because they actually let the links that we put up there get traction.
Right. I mean, we were talking just on, where do you want to start? Zelensky's the dictator that started the Ukraine war.
I mean, just a mediocre comedian.
11 billion dead people are getting Social Security. I mean, that's the problem. I was looking at this new Washington Post poll. I guess the good news, many of Trump's early actions unpopular, according to a new Washington Post Ipsos poll. 57% he said he has exceeded his authority since taking office. 43% support what he's done in the first month. 48% oppose. The president's supporters applaud him for deporting undocumented immigrants and cutting government waste. Well, first of all, he's not cutting government waste.
Right.
Elon Musk is lying to you. And secondly, we just did the numbers yesterday, Dana. Joe Biden deported a lot more people than Donald Trump has deported, even in the first month. I think it was 21,000 Biden deported in November. Trump's numbers are way lower. It's just bigger and meaner and dumber and louder.
That's exactly what's happening. You want to talk about waste? This guy has golfed 3 out of the last 4 days. Right. There's waste there. His joyride around the NASCAR, track. There's waste there. His half of Super Bowl. There's another $15 million there. Stop it with them finding waste. Social Security, it's not even 1% that there's a mistake there. It's 0.84% that maybe Social Security is paying out to either the wrong people or people that haven't caught up with the system yet. Maybe they've passed away. Not even 1%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but here's we go with the divide. 9 in 10 Republicans support his actions, while 9 in 10 Democrats oppose. I mean, this is part of the problem with how, tribal we are. But here's some warning signs. More than 8 in 10, that's almost 80%, Chris.
Yes, I've heard. Say
he should follow court rulings. Well, he's probably not going to. So that'll be the next layer of our constitutional crisis. A majority of Americans believe the Supreme Court will try to stop Trump if he goes beyond his authority. Okay, well,
no.
I think a majority of Americans are going to be wrong. The poll finds 45 approve of the way Trump's handling his job, 53% disapprove, which, by the way, is way lower than Zelensky's approval rating of 60%. But, that's part of, our job, right, is just combating this constant stream of lies. I mean, Elon Musk lies, and then Trump just triples down on it.
That's exactly what it is. He's literally trying to make people believe that the truth is not the truth. Saying that this is a war and that Russia didn't start it is not the truth. It's absurd. But if you repeat it enough, people start to go on his side. Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, what? And they forget.
Oh, hey there, it's Stephanie Miller. If you're like me and you love sharp political insight, pointy, you like it pointy and sharp, bold opinions, and a touch of humor to make sense of these crazy times, have I got some fantastic news for you. The Political Voices Network is now on Substack. This is your new go-to for the best in independent media. We're talking about my show streaming daily with episodes on demand, the fearless of journalism of Brian Karem, the brilliant side-splitting satire of John Fugelsang, the unrelenting working class advocacy of Rick Smith, and so much more. Here's the best part. Subscribing is so easy. You can join for free or go to the extra mile. Support these incredible independent voices by signing up for a full subscription starting at just $8. You'll get access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and a chance to directly fuel fearless, unfiltered media. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Hit that subscribe button and become part of the movement keeping truth alive in an era of corporate media overload. Every subscription helps, especially yours. One more time, that is politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Sign up now. Do it.
Walk with me. I kind of want to talk about the least of my people. You know, every year around this time, I always got to try real hard to not smack upside the head all these hypocrites, snakes, and vipers who call undocumented U.S. workers illegals. I don't like getting angry, but this shit makes me want to flip a table. Illegals is a racist, dehumanizing, otherizing term. It's designed to make other people appear less than human, so you won't feel bad when you treat them inhumanely. It's a really shitty noun. Ask yourself this: when's the last time Fox News called any other kind of lawbreaker an illegal? If you do 56 in a 55 zone, aren't you an illegal too? Huh? Come on. Now, you wouldn't know it from watching Tucker, but the majority of undocumented immigrants in this country are people who overstayed their visas. However, every night on Fox, he who tucks in his brood of vipers say illegals, and they're always referring to brown people crossing a border. Here's a dirty secret. Politicians could end undocumented immigration tomorrow if they wanted by locking up the white people who do all the hiring. This is supply and demand economics, my friends. There's a gigantic help wanted sign at our southern border, and there's no wall you can ever build that'll be big enough to hide it. And politicians of both parties are in no rush to take down the help wanted sign. Rich people pay Fox people to make working people blame poor people. Now here's 10 facts about illegal people. Number 1. Undocumented immigrants commit crimes at a much lower rate than U.S.-born citizens. Why? Fear of deportation. So imagine if we could do that to homegrown criminals. Number 2, undocumented immigrants pay state, local, and sales tax over $400 billion in 2017 alone. Those guys standing outside Home Depot looking for day labor work, they're not the ones who outsource your job to China. By the way, racist idiots, there are no national politicians currently calling for open borders or amnesty. Anyone who tells you there are is lying, or as I like to call it, bearing false witness. You know who did call for that? Ronald Reagan. That's right, the star of all your right-wing porn fantasies. St. Ronnie gave amnesty to millions of undocumented people and claimed that open borders allows them to just go home when they're done working here. But don't feel bad, you racist douchebags. Reagan still supported apartheid. You ever notice whenever they raid one of these meatpacking plants down south and they arrest several hundred illegal workers, they're a lot slower to arrest the guys in the back room who did the hiring, who are counting all the cash. And that is all the proof you need to know that the illegal immigration scare is regressive gaslighting bullshit. Donald Trump hires undocumented labor. Going back to the 80s, it was Polish workers who built Trump Tower, but they never got called illegals because...
To gut the things that we care about. And I don't believe that we can enter into good faith negotiations with people that literally could care less about their word. We saw what happened with the continuing resolution that kept the government open till March 14th because Elon sent out a tweet that changed the trajectory of negotiations that had taken place with duly elected members of the House, the Senate, as well as the president.
Yeah.
Go on, Jasmine Crockett.
I love her.
Oh, my God, do we love her so much. Trump waffled when a reporter confronted him over a court filing claiming Musk is not a Doge employee, then rambled for nearly 9 minutes about many other things. I read part of the transcript. Dana, the fact that he's not being taken out of there in a white coat is, okay. Trump's White House has been busy cranking out a series of contradictory explanations for what Musk's job is exactly, referring to him as a special employee and the head of Doge, then claiming in a court filing that he doesn't work at Doge, and then the head of Doge again. Right. Trump offered several alternate descriptions and then launched into a lengthy rumination that included the assertion, once again, there could be millions of 120-year-olds strong Social Security. Okay. Dana, I said this as someone that lost her mom a couple years ago. Ask anyone with a deceased relative. They don't get Social Security.
It stops immediately. There are several organizations that communicate with each other. When someone dies, they all tell the other, and the payments stop.
Oh, my God. Funeral home, they send a form. I don't even know how else to tell you. Okay. Noted fisting aficionado Josh Hawley.
You have my attention.
he says we should not do Medicaid cuts of any kind. The next headline, Trump backs GOP plan to cut billions from Medicaid. Yep. I mean, this is the thing I'm having a hard time getting my mind around. I don't understand how anyone could have believed him several years ago. I don't know, 30,000 lies in. Yesterday, he said, I'm not going to touch Medicaid, never, cherish it, love it. And then this morning, okay, like he doesn't, okay.
No, I didn't know if there was a question there. I agree with
sorry.
you.
Well, I was sorry. I'm stammering. Trump endorsed a House Republican budget plan that could cut billions from Medicaid just hours after pledging the health care program for millions of disabled and low-income Americans would not be touched. Yes, he said Medicare, Medicaid, none of that stuff's going to be touched. That was yesterday on Fox News. He previously said he would love and cherish Medicaid. Why does everything he says sound rapey? I don't know.
Because he's a predator. That's why. And, I saw a great meme the other day when we said it on the beans that they're making you fight a culture war. So you're not paying attention to the class war that's happening right now. They're doing this on purpose. They're pitting you up against, they're making you fear someone you should not be afraid of. They're scapegoating minority communities. And meanwhile, they're stealing everything from your wallet.
Yeah. That hit me the other day too, Dana. I was just thinking about, all of these discussions, about, who voted what way and why and what went wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I just there really is at its core, they just don't like brown people and gay people. They just don't like people different than them. We were talking about the MAGA freakout over Tom Hanks playing the racist MAGA guy on Black Jeopardy on SNL. And I watched it and I'm going, first of all, it was so mild. I'm like, there's such snowflakes with this freak out when, in fact, a lot of them are racist. I'm sorry. They're on.
No, absolutely.
They're on record now as going, I didn't know he's going to hurt us. I just thought he's going to hurt the other people. Meaning, and who do you think they mean by other people? They mean brown people,
I am
gay
so
people.
tired of arguing with people to say they're not racist. One of my favorite jokes, Steph, I don't know if you've heard it, but Scaramucci, before he found Jesus, gave a speech and he said, Trump's not racist. The things that come out of his mouth are racist, which would be like me saying, I'm not a lesbian. The things going into my mouth are lesbians. They're
Dana
racist.
Louise Goldberg.
They're racist.
Yeah, I sent this tweet to Frangela. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But Sean tweeted, again, Steph, how is it that black people got the message? The idea that we have to baby and coddle white people to understand laws and policies that affect their lives is infuriating. I mean, it's true,
Frangela, Fran from Frangela said it best. All these white people, how does it feel to shoot yourself in the face when you're aiming for black folk?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. They did not realize, we get rid of DEI. DEI helps white women and veterans more than almost any other demographic. Yeah. You want to get rid of this? Okay, you're hurting your constituents. You're going to fire federal employees. You don't think that the federal employees, that women actually benefited from DEI in the federal workforce? Get out of here.
They did a brilliant bit at DC Sexy Liberal about congratulations on the birth of your hate baby. This is... Yeah, I sent them a thing that, Republican women are upset, that they're getting fired because they're like, we thought DEI meant they're going to fire black people. This is the problem, Dana, with being welcoming to people. It's like you actively voted to hurt other people, to hurt me, and now you're mad. You're like, okay, I'm glad you're not going to vote for Trump again. And, you feel burned, but you voted.
100%. Congratulations for selling out your country to Russia so Julie can't play badminton with her friends.
Right.
I mean, that's exactly what this is.
Right. Republicans weighing billions of dollars of cuts in Medicaid, threatening coverage of some of the 80 million U.S. adults and children enrolled in the safety net program. They're eyeing work requirements for Medicaid. Did I mention most of those people are older, disabled, or children? I mean... And also, I think that's the message we have to keep getting out, Dana. They are doing this so that they can get tax cuts for rich people again. That's why they're hurting all of these people. And
absolutely.
This one.
And I hate to say this. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no,
this one also,
after you.
Yeah, after you. Excuse me. After you.
No, you first.
Yeah, for all the farmers out there, I heard something the other day that was sort of bone chilling is that, all of the subsidies that were promised under the Biden administration that farmers actually put out first. So let's say someone gave $50,000 of their own money because they were told, like for solar panels, because they were told they were going to get reimbursed or at least partially reimbursed. None of that's happening now. And it would not surprise me if this administration is actually trying to bankrupt the farmers so that they have to sell their farms and land in an auction. They will buy up that land on pennies on the dollar and build on it.
Yeah. And all of these lies about waste, fraud, and abuse they are not finding, is budget experts say even if Trump succeeds at slashing the spending and the Musk-led Doge is targeting, his policies will still substantially add to the deficit if they come to fruition. He has called for a series of steep tax cuts that would add at least $5 trillion to the 10-year deficit. Again, this is the guy that ran up the deficit more than any president in our history. And the fact that they're trying to sell this bull crap that they're cutting waste or whatever based on lies, on condoms for Hamas and dead people getting Social Security and things that are just untrue. Anyway, they said the figure could rise to 11 trillion depending on how his so far ambiguous proposals are structured, his concepts of a plan. I mean, they are doing all this to give these tax cuts to people like Elon Musk. Right?
Absolutely. And I would love to know what the unemployment rate is right now with all of these firings, not to mention all the money lost that you've already spent training these incredible people to do their jobs. Yeah. And then some of them are getting fired on the 344th day of their 365-day probationary period. Now you have to re-put all of that money, into training new people. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah. Here is
All of
Representative.
this would be the same thing.
Yeah. Melanie Stansberry, Democrat of New Mexico.
What it looks like is they're trying to further rig the system. What does the SEC do? It regulates the stock market. Why are billionaires trying to take over control of the stock market? It is the place where money is made. And so I think it's very clear that the takeover of these independent agencies is really about not only a power grab, but about further rigging the system. Same with the FCC. This is the entity that regulates mass communications in this country.
I mean, we were talking about the exchange with a reporter, Dana, where they're like, Elon Musk makes, I don't know how many, first of all, I think the number is he makes $8 million a day from the U.S. government. He's getting rid of all these agencies that regulate or oversee him. And they said, how's that on a conflict? And Trump's like, this is the first I'm hearing of this. I mean, give me a break. He doesn't know that he has government, SpaceX, and Tesla subsidies and whatever. I mean, Richard Blumenthal is demanding answers relating to the department's purchase of $400 million worth of Tesla Cybertrucks. He said Mr. Musk's dual roles pose conflicts of interest so obvious they hardly require explanation. In the 15 months since it was released, the Cybertruck has been widely derided, subject to at least 6 separate recalls. Indeed, Tesla had reportedly had disastrous sales numbers for the Cybertruck. It hardly seems like the type of reliable vehicle the State Department would choose for this contract, absent a heavy thumb on the scale. Well, of course not. He's already helped himself to 2 huge contracts since he's been in there.
Absolutely. But also my thing as a Democrat and someone who cares about this and these conflicts of interest, if they look at you and go, yeah, we are stealing billions of dollars in contracts. That's what we're doing. We're making money off the presidency. What are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? That's great. You would get them to admit, yes, there's a conflict of interest, and then what are you going to do about it? Because you should be doing that now.
And the whole, exploding rocket guy is going to help you with air safety? Like, right, Sean?
That whole thing's terrifying.
We're bringing him in to just suss around in the FAA. It's like, really? The guy whose rocket explodes and is being, fined for safety violations, and that's why he's firing those people? Because they're investigating. Oh, I can't.
One of my brilliant friends, Alex Edelman, if you hadn't seen Alex's special on HBO, you got to watch it. It's called Just for Us. Anyway, he actually tweeted, he said, wait, was DEI keeping the planes in the air?
Yeah.
Was that what was happening this whole time?
Someone said, was Pete Buttigieg holding up all the planes like Superman? Was he for the last? Because there were 0 crashes. 0. I mean, and here's Sean Duffy, by the way. I asked today, Dana, how many more times? How many more planes? How many more times are they going to blame the gay guy right? Someone else tweeted, yeah, Delta planes didn't land upside down when the gay guy was in charge. I mean, but he's going to keep doing this. Here we go.
To cast blame on this administration for the policy failures of the last 4 years and say it's our fault is outrageous, but it's rich. So I want to talk quickly about the FAA. So it's true that less than 400 people were laid off at the FAA.
Oh, my God. Dana, do you have to tell people it's not normal to have 8 crashes in less than 4 weeks?
Seriously. And less than 400. Do you have any idea if all of those were air traffic controllers, let's say, or people that worked on safety, what firing 400 people would do to the FAA?
Yeah.
That's a big number.
Yeah. And they gutted the aviation security system. They shut that down. I mean, how would it not have, repercussions? They did a hiring freeze on air traffic controllers. I mean,
I hate these stories because I fly every single weekend.
Yeah, you do.
And now I'm giving everyone permission when the plane lands, you're allowed to clap now.
Oh
Before
God.
it was obnoxious, now you're allowed to
Now
clap.
it's like the wave.
Yeah, do whatever you want. I don't care. Rip off your shirt like Brandy Chastain at the fucking... Oh, I didn't say it. I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
Okay. All right. Yes. Maybe start a choir.
Yeah. Or dump that if we're even concerned that it may have come off that way. Yep.
Okay. All right. Settle down. All right. Listen, you know whose plane does work well? Air Force One. I want to make the offer again. Just take the plane and go. Just take it. Go. Mike is so prolific this morning is because he is also a...
You guys know our next guest, Allison Gill, known to many as AG, is a terrific force for democracy. She is a public servant. She is an author. She's an entertainer. She's a broadcaster. She's a comedian. She is an advocate for every kind of moral and intelligent resistance. When the government investigated her podcast that she began out of her kitchen, Mueller, She Wrote, back in 2017, Trump had her fired, even though she'd been working for them for more than 11 years. Catch the Daily Beans podcast and all the podcasts from MSW Media. Dr. Allison Gill, it's a great pleasure to have you back.
Hello. How's it going, John?
As just now, we got word that a federal judge, another one. Let's get used to a lot of headlines saying a federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to restore funding for hundreds of foreign aid contractors who say they've been devastated by Trump's abrupt and, in their view, illegal 90-day blanket freeze. A Washington, D.C. Based appointee of Judge Joe Biden, Amir Ali, said the Trump administration failed to account for the extraordinary harm caused by the broad-based halt to foreign aid. we get to go to bed knowing the judicial branch is still there fighting for us, Allison.
Yes, what we have to wonder is whether the executive branch will follow the orders of the judicial branch. We've already seen a violation of a temporary restraining order in the funding freeze. So we'll see how this ends up going. But I'm glad that the courts are there. We just have to find out whether or not they're going to actually enforce these orders, and if they can and do, how will they? Because we need the executive branch to cooperate, including the marshals, and we need the Congress to cooperate too, which is run by the Republicans.
Exactly, Mundo. I mean, it is kind of crazy to wonder, but we were discussing with Professor Corey Brettschneider the other night, author and Brown University professor who does the show. The very fact that he's already disobeying these judges, the very fact that he's defying these orders like they were a subpoena to let us get those documents back from your house, the fact that he pushed the TikTok ban and now he's openly defying the Supreme Court upholding it. The constitutional crisis is in progress, right? I mean, if he's already defying court orders, then that's it. We are in a crisis.
100%. And just the broad dismantling of our federal workforce alone is a constitutional crisis. Ignoring court orders to not do that takes it a step further.
I want to talk about how deeply unpopular some of the deeply stupid cuts they're making and policies they're enacting will be with their own MAGA base. But let me lead into that by playing this clip A3 from earlier today. Senator Amy Klobuchar, she's talking about President Elon Musk and his proposed cuts to the VA. Give a listen to this because, boy, they are dumb.
I watch every day when I'm in Minnesota and I'm in one of our VA facilities how the employees treat our veterans with dignity. They deserve dignity too. That's what this is about in the end. And as my friend and Dick Blumenthal's friend, John McCain once said, and Maggie knew him very well as well, nothing in life is more liberating than to fight for a cause larger than yourself. Standing up for our veterans and our employees that work with our veterans, that's a cause worth fighting. That's a cause larger than ourselves. Thank you.
Allison, I always thought the two classes of civilians that MAGA would always care about were veterans and cops. We now know they don't care about actual cops, but I kind of feel like as things get bad for our veterans because of these unelected douchebags, I mean, they just proposed a 20% cut in SNAP benefits. Who's that going to hurt worse than military families? What do you think the backlash is going to be? Because I'm already smelling a pendulum swing here.
Well, it depends. Unfortunately, a lot of folks who are in the Trump cult are not going to believe what's happening to them when it actually happens to them. I mean, we've already seen the first inflation report for January is off the charts. And the Trump administration is just going to turn around and say, what is happening to you? This 53% rise in the cost of eggs isn't real. Don't listen to the liberals when they tell you that this is a real thing that's happening. And so I'm very concerned because you can't, it's really hard to snap people out of a cult mentality. You have to, in some cases, people die. People are willing to give their lives before they'll believe what's right in front of their faces. So when these veterans who voted for Donald Trump start losing their benefits, start losing their care, start losing access to timely quality health care, will they notice, or will they believe that this is something that Joe Biden set up for them? Or, what will they actually believe? And that's my main concern, because I've long warned, and we've all long warned about Project 2025 and the cuts they want to make to the VA and the fact that they want to privatize it. And we have Doug Collins coming out today, yanking all flags that aren't American flags off of these grounds. And so my good trouble segment today in the Daily Beans was to send everybody that I know to a VA clinic, whether you're a veteran or not, and make sure that you report on Gadsden flags, MAGA flags, Trump flags, NFL flags, any flag that's not an American flag. Make sure that you report it to the Visit and the Patient Advocate and to your Congress people. But to you even when you hit people in the face, the only reason Mitch McConnell is changing his tune is because he doesn't have to run again. and we've been
Let's
hitting
talk about that.
we've
Yeah.
been hitting him in the
is
face with the fish for years now, and now he's finally growing a spine because he doesn't have to run again, which is another argument for term limits.
Exactly right. Yeah, you said you shouldn't only have a spine because you don't have to run again. We are breeding chicken shit, power hungry electeds. The worst thing about Mitch McConnell, as you know, he's the guy who could have prevented all of this. He could have told 2 Republican senators to go ahead and vote to convict Trump in the last impeachment, and none of this, and I mean none of this, would be happening right now. I think McConnell knows his place in history is fixed, and he allowed all of this, and he is damned in the history books. This feels like a last minute effort, like an evil guy having his deathbed conversion and finding Jesus with 2 minutes to go and hoping that'll redeem him for all time.
Yeah, and nobody cares about their legacy. Let's be honest. Is Marjorie Taylor Greene up at night wondering how the history books will see
No,
her?
but I think McConnell's starting to. I think what else? Why is he doing it? Because he hates Trump? I mean, he's
He's
going to get
always
nothing but
hated
hatred
Trump.
for it.
He's always
Right,
hated
but
Trump.
but he's never voted against him before.
John Bolton, half man, half mustache, has always hated Trump, and now he's finally coming out and saying something because he knows he's never going to have a position in a Republican administration for decades now.
So
because
true. So
the
true.
Republican so you know what? Wah, I don't want to hear about it. There have been those of us who have been sounding this alarm for since 2015, and finally people are like, oh yeah, maybe you're right. People who all those and it's not always on the right. Sometimes we have the hard leftists with the hammer and sickle and the red flag in their profile.
Yep.
Who want to now be like, oh no, we didn't attack you for liking Tulsi Gabbard, who is now our DNI, who lied about her meetings with Assad and is so far up Putin's ass that you can't tell where Hawaii begins and Russia ends. So I'm no shade to Hawaii.
That is extremely funny. That is very, very funny. Yes.
I can see Russia from Hawaii, but it's disappointing. It's clear that everyone's bought and paid for, and we're not going to be able to fix this until we get this big money out of politics, as we've been saying for 10 years.
Right.
15 years.
Square root of all of our problems. Square root of everything.
United. Right.
So let me ask you. So it seems like we're going to be relying a lot on the judicial branch and on the right of citizens to sue for redress of grievances. This is going to be a major tool of how we get through the next couple of years. Josh Shapiro announced he's suing the Trump administration for withholding the federal funds from Pennsylvania already appropriated by Congress. We talked about how he tried this 5 years ago with Ukraine and he got impeached for it. He's doing the same exact thing now. Donald Trump just sues everybody who gets in his way. He's got this fund. He's got this money he inherited, and that's been his MO in New York City. If he doesn't pay you for work and you sue him, he'll just sue you back. He sues and sues and sues. That's how he's negotiating all these bribes with the major media organizations. Allison, should Democrats just start a legal fund so they can just start suing right-wing media every time they lie about something? Because after Dominion voting machines and Fox having to give it up, it's only because Dominion had the coin to actually file a real lawsuit. And it seems like this could be the most Trumpian way to push back. I know Democrats and liberals would donate to a right-wing media lie lawsuit fund and just start fighting fire with fire.
I mean, that would be great. I would love to see
It's kooky,
that.
but I would get off on it like a sporting event.
No. I mean, I just, the whole nonprofit I just stood up is to raise money for individual federal workers to file lawsuits against this. That's, by the way, that's Fed Oath. If you're interested in being a monthly contributor on Patreon to that, for just $5 a month, you too can support a federal worker. Because they work so hard and they're being so smeared right now. But what we're seeing, first of all, Congress, Republicans in Congress, just handing over their power as a co-equal branch of government to say, no, we just pledge fealty to Donald Trump. So all we've got left is the judicial. And I'm so glad that Biden appointed and confirmed a record number of judges and one of the most diverse, actually the most diverse bench of judges that we've ever seen in the history of presidents.
Correct.
But what I think we're about to see is exactly what Netanyahu did in Israel, which was to attack the judicial branch to try to rob them of their powers. We see Elon Musk with his kid, or whatever his name is, in the Oval Office. Sure. Saying,
I loved it.
The judicial branch is corrupt, they're treasonous, blah blah blah, attacking the judicial branch. And I think we might see what Netanyahu tried to do, brought hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people out to protest, but then 7 happened, and now we are where we are with that. But I would not be surprised. And I tried to tell the Supreme Court, I wrote them a couple of emails like, hey, you're going to be conceding your power if you help shield this king with your immunity decision. You're the second to go. The free press is the first to go. The judicial branch is the second to go. And I was wrong. Congressional fell much sooner than I thought they would.
I completely agree. I want to ask you about who in the Democratic Party right now is inspiring you, because they're keeping kind of mum on what they're going to do when it comes time to stave off a government showdown and a shutdown rather. And, all eyes are going to be looking at what kind of leverage Hakeem Jeffries will have. Mike Johnson is probably definitely going to need some Democratic votes to keep the government open. This has always been on the other foot. It's always been the Republican Party threatening to shut down the government if they don't get whatever stupid shit they want. What are the odds that the Democrats will be convincing enough to play chicken with them and threaten themselves to let a government shutdown happen if they don't preserve fucking democracy itself?
Well, I hope they use it as the cudgel that the Republicans always used it as. We can't play games anymore like, oh, well, if we do the wrong thing, they'll be mean to us the next time. Oh, if we subpoena Jim Jordan, he'll subpoena us. It's going to happen. It's always been that way. And so some of the leaders I see emerging are folks like Daniel Goldman, Maxwell Frost, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, like some of these really strong leaders who aren't afraid to embrace digital media and performance media as much as the old guard Democrats thumb their nose or look down their nose at digital media. Oh, that's not dignified enough. We have Marjorie Taylor Greene showing dick pics for Hunter Biden in the well of the House, and
I saw that. She whipped it out.
And you want to argue about what you think is a righteous media platform to go on. And you and I have talked about this. They need to go out. They need to go everywhere. They need to be on Instagram Live. They need to be on every
That's it.
podcast
All over.
They be on and increase those audiences and do it. Because I think it was you who said, dude, if there's a pimply faced a-hole in his basement.
Every incel basement. JD Vance went to every incel's basement with a podcast. Yep. Amen.
In all those places, and we need to do it fast, and we need to get over this, this snootiness about digital media.
Yeah. Dr. Gill, I'm going to let you go into the good night, but before I let you go, I want to ask how you're feeling, how your listeners have been feeling about First Lady Elon Musk. When you fire 80% of the staff at Twitter, the whole thing sucks and you lose revenue and people don't want to be there and it doesn't work that good. And when you fire this much percentage of people in government agencies, people die. The Washington Post kept an ongoing count of all of Trump's lies in the first term. I want someone to keep an ongoing count of every person in every country we can confirm dies because of policies set and cuts made by these unelected teabags. Elon Musk is not popular among the American people. He's really not. And what he's doing is not popular in poll after poll. How long do you think these guys can do this?
It's hard. As long as it takes, I guess it's hard to say with this group. But we also, I do want to push back just a little bit as a lady.
Please.
As a lady, that we don't refer to Elon Musk as the first lady.
Fair enough.
He's the first douchebag, if you wanna put it that way. Actually, he's the president, and Trump is the first.
Write that down. I want to get the phrasing. I don't want to be culturally inappropriate. First douchebag. I got it. Thank you so much.
We'll
never mess that up again.
Douchebags. My part. But I mean, it's going to take us. It's always been us. We've always been waiting for our institutions to save us, but that's backwards. As Timothy Snyder writes in On Tyranny. Our institutions don't save us, we save them. And for us to abdicate our responsibility for the single greatest check on executive power, the vote, for us to abdicate our responsibility in that, I think is bullshit. And we need to understand where we failed, and we need to do better, because no single institution is going to save us. We have to protect our institutions. It's up to us. It's always been us.
I take a step back and I see all this progress and backlash and progress and backlash. And I've gotten pretty used in my lifetime to this pendulum swing. And if the Democrats play their cards right, and the amount of discontent as prices keep rising and none of these promises materialize and Gulf of America doesn't make your family any healthier or stronger, I can't even imagine the level of progressive candidates we're going to see in 2026 and the messaging of a brave Democratic Party that finally is ready to take up the mantle of working Americans again, because these oligarchs are just going to prove it. They're going to prove it.